just because of your presence.
All right, very well. Thank you for all coming. Tonight's meeting for the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeal. Tonight's meeting, April 26, 2023, and it is at 6:34 p.m. And we are at the Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Make a roll call. My far left, regular member, Mr. Richard Sample. My far right, associate member, Troy Larson. He'll be sitting throughout the night for Mr. Jake Morrison. He'll be voting in his place because Mr. Morrison is not here. Mrs. Veronica Debonese, our clerk, Jim Akabachi, myself, the chair, Nazi Al-Khalasi. We have some preliminary business to do with the minutes for the 3/22/23 and 4/12/23.
I blasted through both of these quickly earlier, but I will admit I didn't read it word for word, but they looked fine as I went through. Did anybody else get a chance?
Yeah, I had reviewed April 12th minutes. They looked good to me. I didn't see
Yeah, okay.
anything out
As
of
long
them.
as nobody spotted anything, I think I can make a motion to approve both sets, both for March 22nd and for
12?
April 12th, yeah. I move to accept as presented.
Last time we pushed minutes, the 4/26 minutes. Where's those?
No, we did them at the end.
Oh, today's 4/26.
Oh, okay, so we pushed them to today, sorry. All right, so I have a motion for the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Richard. All in favor, say aye. Richard?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
All right.
And myself, Nazi, aye. Mr. Robert Perry and JC Engineering informal conference for 3090 Cranberry Highway.
Good evening. My name is Robert Perry, and I thank you very much for having me here tonight.
All right,
Good evening, Brian Bertolo, JC Engineering.
very well. What do we got, Counselor?
Well, we're representing a client who has been working on putting in a used car lot at 3090 Cranberry Highway. That's down the side of Skaggs. And I'm kind of looking, we both are, for guidance from you as just what you would like to see. I'm assuming you want to see a full site plan review.
Is that one of Angus' properties? Used to
Yes,
be
it
a
is.
church?
Yes, it is.
I looked at it a while before. This property, either they need an easement because it's a triangle shape.
One of the things Brad is doing is redoing the lot lines, I understand,
Okay,
such that it will be compliant with what I hope you need, and that's sort of what I'd like to kind of hear tonight, is just what...
whatever the bylaw needs, not whatever we need. Well, are you making a confirming law?
It's all lots owned by the same person, so it just has multiple structures on multiple lots.
Right, but the particular lot that has the church, used to have the church on it, it's shaped odd. If you take it by itself, it doesn't work.
Well, it's basically considered one lot. That lot that it's on is currently non-conforming, and it's directly connected to a lot that is conforming, so basically, it's been basically treated as one lot.
Right, it's the same owner.
Same owner, yes.
Right.
Same owner.
So we're trying to get clarification whether,
If you're gonna get it, if you're gonna change the use, it's gonna be a confirmed lot, no? I would assume.
it's multiple lots, so as a whole, it's multiple structures on multiple lots. And
Okay.
again, this is not something new for this property. It's changed use like 4 or 5 times after
Okay.
reviewing the building permit, building department files.
I looked at this one on the maps, et cetera, and on some other maps. It appears to me that the parcel that your client is going to lease will occupy all of one lot and some of a second. But if you took and redrew the lot lines, you could still have 2 remaining conforming lots, and the part that the tenant is going to be leasing would be in its own lot.
That's what I understand was
And that's
supposed to
what
be
we'd
doing.
like to have drawn, or that's what I'm recommending to the owner. I called Mrs. Angus direct,
I know that.
and we discussed it. That makes it easy for her, it makes it easy for us. If you come in front of us, it's gonna be a site plan review, it's gonna cover 2 lots, and that means Skaggs, the transmission place, is gonna be under site plan review. You're gonna have to design drainage and floodlights and parking and yada, yada, for Skaggs. Pre-existing or not, it's a new use, it's gonna be messy. So it'd be way easier if you just move the lot lines, but end up with a conforming lot. Then whenever she leases it in the future, that's what the people are getting. It's no cross easements, no,
That's the intent.
okay.
Why, it would be, yeah, like Jim said, why wouldn't
First
they?
thing I have to do at any rate is get that Form A plan and get it before the planning board, obviously.
Right. I would say so.
And then
Not-
from there-
The planning board's very easy to deal with.
Oh, they are. I don't have any problems at all there.
But it doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do
Oh, well, no. I've
without a
got to
Form A.
You, at some point in time, whenever I have plans.
Right.
I'd
Once
like
you
to
get it-
know what you would like me to come back to you with.
Once you get it drawn as a conforming lot, then all we need is a site plan, because it's gonna be more than 9 cars. It's gonna be a used
Site
car
plan and
lot.
special permit.
Right.
And I don't know about, I don't remember the last time that was used. I may not need to change it. I may have
The
no use
last
right
use
now.
was a toy store, a hobby shop.
That's right. That was some time ago. I lose track of time, but I know it was some time ago.
I think it was this morning or something, I don't know.
Was it really? Well, I was out of it this
Joking, I'm
morning.
joking. I can't
was
remember. I'm in
I
the
was busy
shower, I
getting ready
can't
to go to
remember if I
court with you
shampooed
guys
my
next
hair or
week this
not, you
morning.
know?
All right, so I guess it is site plan.
Well, what would this board like to see? This has obviously changed use numerous times. The site has stayed the same between each and every use. I don't believe they've gone through any type of site plan review on those uses. I understand we have to come before you for the use, special permit, but we're not proposing to change anything other than delineating some parking spaces on the existing paved driveway. The building is pre-existing, they're just going to modify the inside to provide some, I guess, office space for the car salesman and some delineation of customer parking and, I guess, cars for sale. So I'm just trying to get an understanding why I would have to go through and tear up a complete driveway.
You don't have to tear up
We're
the
not-
driveway, just with a pencil on paper.
I understand what you're saying, that it's existing, more than 9 cars and all this.
Yep.
But it's been like this for 40, 50 years, and if we keep doing the same thing, we're never gonna improve the highway or anywhere else. And it's not fair for other people who comes in for car lots or garages, make them go through the whole site plan and tell you, oh, because it existed, we're not gonna.
We're just looking for clarification on what this
Yeah,
board
I
wants.
mean, like, we're gonna ask the board, we'll see what they think. What do you think, Troy?
I agree.
Maybe they'll give it to you, I
I
don't know.
think we need to
Veronica?
get it all right.
The only thing I know about it is what's being discussed right now. It seems to make sense, the comments that have been given by the board.
And apparently Jim agrees.
Yeah.
Rich?
Yep, sounds like it makes sense to me.
That's fine, we'll
I
prepare
mean, you
the-
could fight it, if you wanna go that far. If we don't grant it and go to court, I don't know, but we'd like to see a site plan.
We got enough of that going on. I don't want to do that.
I understand,
They've
but
been
with,
the plans that you guys would like to have, and me to get it before you in the proper fashion, so that we,
how many cars they looking to do?
I believe it's 20.
20
I
cars.
think, my memory is that my client wasn't able to make it tonight. He couldn't get back from Martha's Vineyard, so.
It will fit a lot more than 20 if they do a nice job.
Good, I would think he could.
They could do
but
like
he's told
50.
me- He's told me
Well,
something like
the issue
20.
is that,
The issue is you don't really want to draw the plan. That's the issue. I think that's what
no,
I'm
it's,
hearing.
there's,
I don't know why, because my guy's gonna pay for it.
between the tenants, they have rights over portions of the property for access to the curb cuts across all 3 lots that are there. So the plan that we prepared showed those access points, and the remaining area was roughly 30 total parking spaces. The proposed Well, the required parking spaces is based off of office space. There's no use for used car sales on required parking space. The most similar would be office space, because it's going to be, I guess, an office inside. I don't consider it would be retail sales, so, I mean, I doubt there'll be the need for 10 parking spaces for the use on the property, but that's what's currently shown, so.
The use is not a used car lot?
Currently, no. Currently, it's
No, but
been
what's it gonna be in?
used car, yes.
Yeah. So so the fact that it wants to be a used car lot kicks in a change of use.
Oh, yeah, we understand
Change of
that.
use kicks in site plan review and special permit. The special permit covers 2 pieces of land. So what we're trying to do is avoid the landlord from digging up the parking lot and doing drainage and digging trenches and putting up lighting and all this stuff for a site plan for Skaggs Transmission that's been there for 30 or 40 years and wants to continue to be there. But the portion of the property that's gonna be leased as a used car lot, it's a new use, and we want them to come under the new rules. So if they draw a lot of where they're gonna be, I know the owner, and she's very capable of putting language in the lease that would cover the issue about cross easements or use or being able to pass and repass and enter and exit and egress and regrets and all that.
So, the answer, site plan review, special permit,
Just per the bylaw, showing all of the parking places, including used cars.
the whole 9, yeah.
That's
Thank
my
you.
understanding.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well,
Good.
thank you for your time, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
30-22, Family Pantry, Damien's Place Corp.
I got that here if we need it.
Well, let's see what he wants. Bill?
See what the minor modification is, yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of Damien's Place and the Food Pantry. You might recall that it was approved by the zoning board going back in, I don't know, November of
Correct.
22. You issued a set of conditions, and condition number 7 states that if there was any modifications to the plan, we need to come back before the approving authority to see if you recognize the changes to the plan as substantial or not. And we made some changes to the plan. I'm ready to go over with you. We think that they're relatively insignificant, but nonetheless, we're obligated to present this to you guys for the decision-making itself.
Mr. Madden, I'm trying to save passing all this nice, neat folder out. Is it gonna be extensive? Are my members gonna wanna see the small copies, or are we gonna be able to work with that?
Before you pass it, let's hear it quick.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah, okay, the changes to the plan, none of which affect any of the layout per se, the impervious area, the building, the size, the shape, everything really remains the way it is. The issue that we were presented with is the loading dock. There's 2 9x9 overhead doors, and originally, we were going to use dock levelers inside those buildings. After we had the project approved, the applicant decided that they didn't want to have dock levelers, so we ended up raising the building by a couple of feet so that we could still maintain the drainage patterns that we originally designed for and what have you. So that was really the major change that resulted in some of the grading, that it's just elevated no more than 2 feet than what it was. Another change that was asked for by the client was the installation of some perimeter lighting. You can see that we have the light locations shown on the plan. They're really to light the parking field for the customers. and some of the access ways around it, egress out onto Swift Beach Road. There's roughly 7 pole-mounted lights. They're RAB LED lighting fixtures, dark sky compliant cutoffs and what have you. They're going to keep all the light on the site as required by the bylaw. So that's what we're looking to do there.
So he's trying, what is he trying to do with the lights? He wants to remove them or put them in?
No, put them on.
Okay.
We did not include them
All right,
by
very well.
choice at the original, during the original application. So as part of that lighting distribution, there's underground conduits that needed to be shown on the plan. They're highlighted on this plan. They're shown on the drawings that you have. We also picked up a roof drain conductor and put it into the sediment forebay that we have on one of the drainage basins. And then we also put a small infiltration trench that's associated with the curb cut. We wanted to demonstrate to Mass Highway that all of our drainage will be retained on the property. Anything from the layout line of Route 6 can continue on to Route 6, or Marion Road rather, and be collected in a catch basin and discharged into that underground infiltration area. It's a very small area. We just put a combination catch basin and water quality structure there and discharged it into that infiltration trench. Also on Route 6, we just showed within the layout a small portion of bituminous concrete sidewalk. We know, at least we believe, that Mass Highway is going to require us to extend that sidewalk similar distance to what has been requested in the past on other types of jobs we've worked on. So before they ask us to do it, we just put it on the plan for convenience of all. So that's really what we have. We haven't changed the footprint of the building, the limit of...
So you're raising the whole site 2 feet?
Not the whole site.
Just the back?
Pretty much just the back right in here, yep.
Okay.
But the original drainage patterns are retained. And we didn't add any additional impervious area. This sheet is, as you know, is the landscape plan, so you can see from the quantity and quality of the landscape material that's proposed to be put in there, that it's well enhanced with the landscape material. None of that changes with this plan, and I think our final thing to talk about is just on the detail sheet, where we indicate the elements that are associated with the stormwater management, the water quality structure, the cross-section of the sidewalk in the state layout. There's a pop-up emitter on the infiltration trench that we show, and then this is a detail of how the infiltration trench would be constructed. With that raise and change in elevations, it required us to modify the elevations in the drainage basin, just picking it up a little bit more than what was there originally when it was approved. So that's pretty much it. Just the fill that's associated with raising the building and the installation of the lighting.
Well, personally, I don't have a problem with the changes, but I would like the consultant, Phil, what's the name of the group we have now?
Alan and Major?
Alan Major, to review the drainage. We have no problem.
Well, with all due respect to that request, Charlie Rowley was the person who...
But you changing it.
Pardon me?
You changing it.
I understand that.
We accept...
So, okay, sorry, you want to go back to Charlie, so you don't have to pay that
No,
guy.
I don't...
That's fine.
No, I'm just saying that in the event that they have different viewpoints on drainage and how it's going to be handled, I would not want to have to go and reflect back onto the original design, because the original design is going to need to be evaluated as well. And, at the end of the day, we added one structure to handle about 1,200 square feet of pavement out by the driveway entrance, which had been previously approved. Originally in the design, we didn't need a catch basin. We ran the drainage across the parking lot into one of the drainage basins. So that's the only thing. I don't think it...
So you're gonna add one because you raised the 2 feet, so you're gonna add one. You're not gonna take one from the other drainage, add one the different location?
We're adding one from a different location. We're replacing overland sheet flow with overland sheet flow to a drainage structure, water quality structure. That thing right there, a $10,000 water quality structure that's going to be discharged into a $5,000 leaching trench. So there's a $15,000 drainage improvement just to handle a very, very small portion of the site runoff to prevent it from going into Route 6. That's the entire reason why we added it. That was our only alternative at this point.
Okay, well, let's see if the board is okay with this. Richard,
I'm fine the way, what he's talking about.
Troy,
Okay with it.
Veronica.
Yeah, looks okay to me.
I have no problems with what I read.
We have it then. Okay, anything else?
You want to make a motion that's insubstantial and for the record, so moved.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Troy. All in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Okay, so a motion. You gonna, you wanna add anything, any discussion before we make a motion?
No,
Do we
no,
need
thank
to
you.
make a motion? or we
Motion to
fine?
grant as presented.
Grant the changes as requested, as presented.
I have a motion by Jim to grant. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rich. All in favor, say aye. Rich?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And myself. I'm gonna abstain on that one. But you have it, 401.
Okay, thanks very much for your time, much appreciated.
You're very welcome. Okay, back to the sheet. Scott Green, 64-21, Attorney Mohan.
Scott Green.
Go ahead.
All right, great. Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street. I am, excuse me, I'm before you to request either a minor or major modification to a variance that you granted. To refresh your memory, this was a lot on the end of Murphy Street that had emerged, that essentially had lost the grandfathering. The lot has an old foundation on it, and it's right near the end of the beach. And you had found that it warranted a variance. This being right near the coastal dunes, near the wetlands, we ended up having to go through extensive meetings with the Conservation Commission. Even though the original plan had actually had the building not within their wetlands, the concerns were the coastal dunes. So we hired a coastal dunes expert to just, talk about how is this build going to affect the wetlands over there and the dune migration. So long story short, it took a bunch of time, but it was approved. So there's an order of conditions that was just approved March 23rd of this year. That plan has changed since the original that you've approved. So the change being that now what the commission would like was the building shifted towards the pathway towards the beach. So now it does not meet that setback, that 20 feet. So if you do take a look at that plan, you can see that it's moved towards the path that people take down to the beach. It's our opinion that it is insubstantial. We have a right-of-way there. There's not another abutter that'd be encroaching on their rights. And essentially, it's the exact same footprint, but we're moving towards that way due to really the concerns of conservation. The client's done a great job working with them. He's actually going to be the lot that's owned by the town. He's going to be removing the invasive species on map 50B. You see that's there's a lot of species there that are not native to our area that's actually ruining kind of that land. So, and then replanting that. So that's part of his conditions with the order conditions. So I'd ask you to kind of look at this holistically, the fact that it's been approved, and now we're just seeking to essentially shift it towards this gravel road. So I'd be happy to answer any questions at this point.
Was there a variance granted for setback when we granted?
No, it was lot size.
Right. So you need another variance, basically, unless we grant, unless the board feel
We're encroaching on the setback now?
on the road,
What's the distance between that and the road?
7.1 feet.
And it needs to be 10?
I think it's 20. It's not, you use a Murph, no, 20.
It's 20. The prior plan had it at 21.1. Our setback now is 7.1, and again, that was due to the concern that when this client does build this property, that the Conservation Commission wants to be thoroughly sure that it won't be in that no activity zone. He was kind of bordering that closely, and they had thought this way there's rarely no reason how he would encroach on that. So I know we had got this approved and gone through conservation, so that's why I'm asking you for a minor or a major determination.
All right, I'll pass it by the board, but you gotta be aware, when you go for a building permit, if it passes, the commissioner can always resend it back, deny a permit without, he can.
Thank you for the information. I would say that if this is granted as a minor modification, I don't see how he could deny that at that point.
Because you
So
don't
we are
have the
approving this plan.
setback, right?
Well, if
You-
you're approving this plan is what I'm saying, but if you don't approve it, so.
No, if we approve, he can still deny it by a
Never
law.
had that happen.
Because you never done it, it's always first time.
But- Well, the commissioner's here, we can ask him about it, I guess.
We'd have to advertise it to grant a variance, wouldn't we?
Right, but like I said, I mean, let's see what happened with the,
That's okay. This is my client, Mr.
Okay.
Green. That's
all right,
okay.
let's ask about, Troy, what do you think?
I don't have any questions right at the moment.
Veronica?
I understand the need for the change, but I think because it requires a variance, that would be more of a major modification, because I think it needs to be re-advertised.
If you think it's major, it doesn't have to if you don't feel so. You understand?
Well, I feel like it requires a variance,
Okay,
which is,
Jimmy.
So Veronica's position is the variance itself creates it as a major, not a minor.
Okay,
I'm fine. The way I'm looking at it is I'm sure if I was that homeowner, I'd want to be as far away from the path as I could. Conservation pushed him so that everybody could walk by and look in his windows more easily. He didn't, so I'm okay with it. But I do think, you're going to need a variance before it's, but there's not, we can't grant it tonight because it hasn't been advertised, so. That's,
but
that's what I
if
see.
you can grant it.
We
without-
can?
You can.
Without,
That's why, I'm sorry
You
to cut you
can,
off. Yeah.
but it doesn't, you can if you wish.
Can we get clarification from the
You can grant a
commissioner? I don't
Yeah,
want
we
to put
will.
him on the spot.
We will.
but-
Now, one minute
Okay.
before we go for, let's hear from Richard.
Not much to say, other than it sounds like conservation created the hardship.
It's definitely a hardship, no
Yeah.
question asked.
Yeah.
You have a strong hardship.
Topography is right there, so it's just procedurally, if you feel more comfortable us having to go through the variance, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want you to approve this as a minor and then me get a denial letter from Mr. Turner.
Well, we could ask
So,
Mr. Turner.
I mean, if the idea is, right, yeah. I
We'll
mean,
ask Mr. Turner.
Well,
Commissioner, do you mind?
I'm gonna just shift this over to.
Just your name and address for the record, please?
we should see if there's anybody from the neighborhood.
We will.
Yeah.
I don't really have a big
No,
plan.
Probably not, because it's not been advertised.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Paul. This is where, it's close, right there. And this is the prior plan that meets the setback. So here's where we're at 7 feet right there.
Part of that's just over.
A variance for size of the lot is being granted.
Correct.
They met setback before. Now they come in to less setback, they don't have enough setback. It's definitely, they have a hardship,
I agree.
but so what do you, if it goes to you, what do you do? If even we grant it, what do you do? What would you do?
I would prefer if they applied for the variance.
Well, not preferring,
I
no,
would like them to apply for the.
okay, so if they'll go to you, you will send them back.
I think it,
And you believe you have the right to, even if the board grants it, with a minor.
That I don't know. I'd have to research that.
I mean, procedurally, if that's the best thing, I think it could be granted, frankly, here, but could someone challenge it and say they didn't get notice? And we wouldn't want to do that. Obviously, Mr. Green's investing a lot in this property, so I would advise, we can go the route if you like.
What do you think about granting it, but making them advertise it and then,
Doesn't work this way.
huh?
Don't work this way.
Doesn't work.
Anyone in the public want to speak in favor or against this one? Well, it's not been advertised, that's why no one's here.
Yeah.
It's up to the board. You grant a minor, commission, it's up to the commissioner to give it or not. You want a major, they'll come back. They definitely have a hardship if they come back.
So if we say major, they have to come back anyway.
Advertise and
We
everything.
have-
Yeah,
So I think Veronica's on target. Let's just call it a major, let them advertise it and come back and do it right. That's my opinion to the board.
Make a vote, make a motion. You want to
I'll make
add, anything before we close? I mean, we
No.
could make a motion? All right,
Make a motion to close the
You know, we wanna
public
do it
portion.
right.
We don't need to do that. This
No.
isn't a hearing.
right.
Okay, so I'll move that it's major and that direct the applicant to re-advertise it and come back for a variance.
Have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Troy, all in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
I guess you get the ayes, and myself aye, so you
and
need
just
to...
a clarification, if I may, so it is a major modification of the current variance that's on record, and not a separate,
Only the setback.
right?
Not
Right, so we
to
have
the-
lot size, I'm just thinking procedurally and title. Okay.
We just want the neighbors to have a chance to come down and tell us that they want to look in all his windows, and thanks for moving the building closer to their walkway.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
Very well, thank you. Okay. Continue public hearing, 7 Meadows Ave,
Do you need anything? This one's mine, too.
Francis Ellis Jr.
It's all right. Thank you. Did we get yours in? Thank you.
All right, Counselor, your name again?
Yep, Attorney Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street. We are here before you on a project that you had granted reconsideration for.
Yes.
This is a property that is in a commercial zone, and it had a previous residence, single family on it. You had denied that, and then shortly after the hearing, I got new information from abutters in that neighborhood who had written the letters that are within your package as well, about how this would really be a detriment to the neighborhood if the only use there we can be is commercial. It's all residential, kids ride their bikes up and down that street, so you had voted, say, yes, let's reconsider this. So as far as the information, that it's the same plan that was submitted before for a single family, there's already a septic there as well. So, we would ask that this be granted to have my client be able to build that single family there. And we're happy to answer anything procedurally. Brad's here for anything in regards to the plan.
Okay, very well, because that's been resented, so we resent our vote, so it's in the continued public hearing, so it's considered open. So once we'll have to close and make a vote. All right, so question, Troy,
I don't have any questions.
Veronica, Jim?
No, I say we ask the public to speak up or shut up, and then send them on their way.
We'll hear from Rich if he speak up or shut up. Rich?
Well, I happened to be in a doctor's office this afternoon, and I ran into 2 of the neighbors that are there, and they would definitely love to see a house back in there.
All right, very well. Anyone on the public want to speak on behalf this matter? Hearing none. Ma'am, counsel, before we close?
Yeah, before we close, may I hear your opinion?
My
Right.
opinion, I'm good for it.
Okay.
I make a motion, we close the public portion of this hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rich. All in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And myself, Nazi, aye. Now motion.
I make a motion, we grant the relief so that they can build a residential house in this commercial zone.
A single family as
Single
presented.
family, yep.
Okay, do I have a second on Jim's motion?
I'll second.
Second by Veronica, all in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And myself, Nazir, aye. Carries, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
True Storage, 4-23, site plan review, 2400 Cranberry Highway. All right.
Good evening, Dennis.
Go ahead, Counsel.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Dennis Connery, appearing on behalf of True Storage. This is a continued hearing this is on a site plan review that we originally had a hearing on March 22nd.
Correct.
On that date, we reviewed the plan, and the board had several questions that our engineer had to be busy over the last 6 weeks to answer the questions and make significant changes in the site plan. And Sean McDowell of Novus Group is here today, and I believe that the board has been provided with several documents, including a landscape plan, a lighting plan, and a redesigned site plan. Any other documents were forwarded, Sean? Do you know?
No, that's it.
They should be in your materials.
I think we got the big plans and the small plans were probably sent by email, and we don't have, unless,
Okay?
is
All
this the
right.
ones behind? Okay, never mind, we do have.
All right, very well.
I just didn't listen when Jonathan told me where they were.
Let me, I just want to clear one thing from last time.
Sure.
You asked for the variance for setback for landscaping for the 50-foot buffer. You didn't need it because you looked at 2007, whoever told you it's 2007 zoning map. It's not 2017, it's a general commercial now. You don't need that buffer. But,
Okay, that's good.
all right? But anyway, you got it, but you don't need it. It's nonce.
Bear with us. When they give you a bare box full of paperwork, it takes a while to find.
All right, stormwater that fell from, do you mind grab any mic? Just grab that mic and sit right there, please.
Mr. Chair, Phil Cordero from Allen and Major Associates. We reviewed Novus's application a couple of times. We provided an initial peer review letter which had some drainage-related matters. The revised plan came through. They addressed a lot of the comments. We had one outstanding issue relative to how the MassDOT permit was crafted for the project, relative to how MassDOT was anticipated receiving drainage. Novus further revised the plans to make sure everything was completely handled on-site and added appropriate details. So at this point, we issued a letter earlier in the week, I think ours is dated April 20, that they've satisfied the engineering-related matters on the application. And I'm happy to walk through any of the particular details if the board is interested in terms of what changed on the application.
I saw that. I'm okay with this. We'll see at the board. Just the fire department, they want it designed based on Tower 1. Did you design it based on Tower 1?
Yes, yep. So I provided a revised plan. That's what I just gave Jonathan. You guys have, an electronic copy was uploaded to the website. But you may not have this, but I got an email from the fire chief.
Yeah, because I don't have,
Yeah,
the
that
last one I have from him,
I think we got an email that the fire department did send a letter with their seal on it, saying that they did do it via the tower.
This was from the
Truck.
fire chief on Monday, but
Yeah.
he responded to the updated plan, telling us that we had met.
because I get one on April 18 from him.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was just from Monday.
This is
He
April 20,
responded to the
April
updated
24th.
plan, saying he had no further comments. It was, we had modeled it based on just a standard, what the town has for a fire truck. the standard model. He had let me know that their Tower 1 is custom, so it's a couple of minor tweaks to run the swept path, but to the naked eye, you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference on the updated
Yeah.
plan, but.
All right, so fire department, we're good. Stormwater, we're good.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Lighting, we
What
talked
light-
about lighting.
We looked at the photometric plan that they had provided. It's adequate in terms of dark sky compliance and coverage on the site with no appreciable spillover.
Okay, and also landscaping plan by architect? Landscaping architect?
Yes, they also, that was omitted from the original submission, so later revisions, they've provided that with the additional landscaping detail.
Okay, very well. I'll talk to the board, but let me ask the question I still have. Parking, I guess all the board agrees that you don't need a lot of parking. If the board are to grant this permit, I will include a condition myself that you will not have a retail sale, so you don't sell boxes or truck rental, because that's gonna need more parking.
If I may,
Yeah,
we sell tape, boxes, little locks, things like that, in a small shop. It's not going to draw any customers that are looking to purchase storage things, like a U-Haul center that you're probably envisioning.
right. Are you renting truck, you're not gonna rent trucks, though?
I already told you, there's no truck rentals at
Okay,
all.
all right,
We agreed
that's
that
fine,
last
small
meeting.
shop, you sell the tape and stuff, it's fine with me. All right, I'll start with the board. Troy,
I'm good with the changes, and they've provided everything we asked for.
okay, Veronica,
Yeah, I'm good with what's here.
Jimmy,
I'm all set.
Richard?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, in the public, anyone in favor or against this project? Okay, I hear none. No, the fire department said yes? Yep. I said yes. So, before we go any further, you want to add anything?
I have
Before we
nothing further,
close?
Mr. Chairman.
No? So what do you think, Councilor, we should do about the variance? I know we granted it, but it doesn't make sense because it's a general commercial, you don't need it. So should we grant it again? For the 50-foot buffer, remember?
No, it's-
Industrial
it's a-
required.
The variance was granted for the use.
I know, and you get another get variance for 50-foot buffer, remember?
I thought that the question on that was
Yeah.
whether you felt that the property was a commercial versus an industrial use that we were
Right.
proposing. And because the board felt that it was a commercial use, we didn't have to comply with the regulations with respect to the
Well,
industrial.
it is general commercial. Whoever did the,
I think we decided it's zoned industrial.
it's not, it's been changed in 2017, whoever looked at the plan looked at 2007. So you don't need that variance, we're not gonna even grant it.
Well, that comes as a surprise to me tonight. So,
The
I'd feel more, it's already been granted.
all right,
So and the appeal period is running,
that's fine, we could re-grant, reassure it. Okay, we're just gonna call it the buffer variance. The
Oh,
buffer variance.
I'm sorry, I'm mixing it.
We thought, the other one, forget the use.
We need
The use
the
is done.
variance.
The use, forget the use. I'm
Okay.
talking about the buffer,
Just the space between the storage property and the
the road,
park,
and the road.
and the road. I'm
Right,
sorry, the
and
road.
we didn't
system.
have enough room to provide that.
But you don't need it, so you still want the variance or no?
I actually don't believe that we had the variance. I think the discussion that we had last time was that on account of the fact that our use was a commercial, was deemed a commercial and not an industrial use, that the buffer zone didn't apply. So I don't think.
No, you would, okay. All right, very well.
If you approve this,
We
I'm
agreed
not
you
asking
didn't need it.
You don't need it, so let's leave it right there.
Let's not complicate it.
Before we go for, anything else you would like to add?
No, I don't have anything further.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
Do I have a second for Jim's motion?
I'll, se-
Didn't? Go ahead.
Okay, Veronica seconded. All in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And myself, Nazir, aye. It carries. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Is that the vote
You
to
guys
close the
shared
public
this
hearing,
one?
or is that the vote?
That's the vote to grant. We closed did we close?
Granted
That
the
was,
special permit.
Close the public portion.
and we closed to grant.
You didn't vote to grant the,
No?
Okay, then I make a
We're
motion.
losing it. 5 of us didn't miss that? 5 of us?
Well, that we were waiting.
You know, we have a long list, that's why everybody's thinking.
Quick.
We were just
All right.
waiting for the second step.
All right, any discussion before we go next step? Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Any discussion before next
We
step?
really knew, we just wanted to see if you were listening.
hey, I've been here a couple times, I'm listening.
Any discussion? None? So can we have a motion?
Motion to grant.
Motion to grant as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rich. All in favor, say aye. Rich?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim? Aye. And myself, Nazir, aye. Now we got it right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Had you worded for a second, didn't we?
It went really quick from the original application, didn't it?
Go Bruins.
Glad to see you finally get there.
All right, Chapel Lane, 5-23. Hello?
Does everybody remember this one? Do you want me to hand out the plans, or do you remember it well enough?
I remember it.
I remember it.
Did a bunch of reading on it, so.
All right, public hearing still open. Need name and address.
Stephen Bushman, 19 Depot Street.
Brian Grady, GAF Engineering.
Is Miss Sweet here? No?
She's unable to be here or on Zoom due to other commitments, so we do expect this to be continued, and she can be present for the next hearing.
Do you want to continue it?
Well, I think we'll have to discuss
Yeah.
decision language, which she can start a draft on that.
Okay. We never met her. Does she really exist? She never been here.
We saw her on Zoom.
Yeah, she was,
Oh, maybe that's not her.
It's an AI
I was
presence.
just going to say the same thing.
All right, very well.
I believe the last email, she was hoping that we'd instruct her to draft a decision and should be at the next meeting.
I know the fire department said it's fine,
Yes.
right? They're fine with it.
Comments from fire department, you should have an email from DPW.
DPW said about the signs.
They said no.
Well, they said they didn't have any intent, but I believe that we should still have some no parking signs put up, whether the town does it or the owner does it. I mean, that was a concern of the neighborhood. We're trying to take care of the neighborhood as long as, also with him.
Right,
we're
but
trying
the DP, Mr. Menard said he's not in favor of adding signage on Chapel Lane.
wasn't there a question about a stop sign
Well,
on Chapel Lane?
I thought the stop sign
The
would be
stop sign, he's okay with it, not on, I guess, the neighbor said they won't sign no parking or something. 1 minute, I'll get to you 1 minute. But I'll get, come forward while we're discussing this.
The issue about the parking.
Right, just sit down, I'll give you the floor in a minute. The only thing that I agree with Mr. Menard, it might need the road commissions to add these signs, even if we ask you to do them. So, but if the road commissioner says no, then you might not be able to put these signs, then you don't need to. But you can, if the board insists on having them, it doesn't make it or break it, the deal, but you still have to go to them if they grant it to you. Go ahead.
I have a question of the neighbor, if I might.
Let's make comments on the project
Okay.
before we go to neighbors. Phil, the stormwater, all these side things, did they change everything as you want them? Because I see a letter from you, they did.
So, Mr. Chairman, we received plans from GAF Engineering this morning with revisions to the application.
Get near the mic.
Closer.
So we received the plans from Mr. Grady at GAF Engineering this morning via email. We did have a chance to review them, but not a chance to issue our letter. But the plans do revise the drainage and the concerns that we expressed at the last meeting. They've increased the level of detail to the off-site areas. They've captured the runoff that we had concerns on. So at this point, they've satisfied the engineering.
Okay, very well. That being said, Troy, before we go to the neighbor, you have a question?
I don't.
Veronica?
No question.
Jimmy? Rich?
No.
All right, sir, your name and address.
Jody Smith, 7 Chapel Lane.
Okay.
I'll just talk about the parking now. I don't want a stop sign at the end of Chapel Lane. I think that was expressed a few times. That wasn't the issue. And, you know, I understand the no parking, it's a real problem, but it also can be a real inconvenience for the people that live on this street. I have a lot of parking, so it doesn't bother me, and, you know, we kind of share driveways with the neighbors, the one next to me and the one across from me. It is an inconvenience when cars are on the street. I don't mind not getting mail every once in a while. I'm just concerned about how many more cars could be out there. If the petitioner, you know, made it a point that his tenants stayed off the street, I mean, I don't want people parked there overnight and that type of thing, because we don't know who comes, well, I know the newspapers come in the middle of the night, but the no parking signs, I think, would really be disruptive to some of the other neighbors, and they're not here to speak for themselves. I'm kind of speaking for the street. There's only 5 houses. But the stop sign doesn't help the situation on Depot Street. The problem is getting into Depot Street. And the no parking signs, that's, you know,
I figured stop sign for safety, so people flying out of there just take Depot, but if you don't
you'd
want.
be hard-pressed to fly out of Chapel Lane.
I think you're supposed to come to a stop when you enter an intersection. I think that's part of the driving test.
Right, it is, but
Right,
just,
and I stated the problem was getting in. I mean, if you sit out there, they come flying off Cranberry Highway. I mean, there was just a bad accident up there a couple days ago. It's hectic running that light. That's a tough situation. Coming out of Chapel Lane, I mean, if I started where my house is all the way at the end, I probably couldn't hit fast enough to have an impact on that.
are these 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms?
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms. And you provided 2 parking for each?
Correct.
There's 2
Well-
parking, there's some adjacent lawn areas if someone needed to use them for a guest, or if their need arose, there's,
Correct, there's plenty of parking. There's 30
You
feet
could
in
visit a
between.
parking as well, or
no, well, there's 2 per unit.
provisions?
But we do have some green space, which will be lawn, and guests do park on lawns if needed in circumstances.
What happened if all of a sudden, like the gentleman saying, 5, 6, 7 cars start parking on the road? How are you gonna address this?
I guess the neighbors would call the police and have them removed.
Well, Mr. Bushman has several other rental properties.
I know, and they look great, and he managed them well.
Yeah, so he understands the parking that he's had for his current tenants, and doesn't appear to be that's going to be an issue moving forward.
We could make them put at least, we can't enter language into leases, can we?
And there are other neighbors on the street that also park on the side of the street, just like Joe. When he has his pool parties, you have a handful of people parking on your property in the street. And just like the neighbors in the Browns house across the street from you.
I can't recall anybody at our house parking on the street. When we've had parties, we've used the neighbor's yard.
And so,
But it's, I mean, like he said, if they park in the street, I guess you have to call the police.
sure.
I mean, if the bylaw says produce 2 parking spaces and he provided them, we can't do anything else. I don't think we can.
Well, I'm
don't
not
know.
sure calling the police, I mean, I'd hate to call the cops as short-handed as they are for a parking issue. If there was maybe no parking just on that 200 and some feet of property, I'm just thinking of the other neighbors. People park on their lawns now all the time. People are unaware of the situation. It could be a guest, a visitor. It's very simple to pull up and park on the street and walk in. I mean,
But Mr. Menard, he's a DPW, he's against, he doesn't recommend it, so I don't know how we're gonna make him. Richard
Well,
wants to say.
I just heard the concerns from the gentleman, and I thought by putting the signs up, it would remedy headaches and future problems down the road. But if he doesn't want the signs, and Mr. Bushman wants to call the police and handle it, far be it from me to get in the middle of it.
Okay.
yeah, I'm just thinking of
I
all
mean,
the neighbors
I
on
could
the
have swore
street.
that he had a problem, and he's speaking for neighbors, and the neighbors should be here. he should be speaking for himself. I don't think he can speak for the neighbors.
My
But secondly, if he's not concerned about it, and Mr. Menard's not, and Mr. Bushman wants to do it, I'm done with the parking signs.
Okay.
My concern is that the neighbors have an occasional guest that comes to quick. Sometimes it is an inconvenience, I understand that, but if it gets to be a regular thing, I mean, we've had trucks, mail not delivered because cars on the street. I can live without mail for a day, but if it's an ongoing problem, which there's no way of knowing that,
I guess if it's you said if it's a problem, I guess the cops has to be called if it becomes a problem.
That's
If
why,
it's occasion.
that's
okay.
why I figured if we had the signs, then it wouldn't be any issue. You could just say there's no parking, and people would probably, I know it's hard, people don't always read the signs, but I was just trying to give a little ounce of prevention for a pound of cure. And if everybody's gonna, if we're gonna just keep talking about it, it's ridiculous. Either the
Right.
signs are not going in or they're going in.
They're not
Sounds like
going
they
in.
don't want them in, we're done.
Forget them.
We're done with it.
Before I go, anyone else?
I'll drop it, and if it gets to be an issue, we'll address it down the road.
Oh, yes, yes, good idea. Anything else, sir?
Oh, you want to let these guys do that?
No. What else you want to say? Make it quick, we have a lot of hearings and it'll be a long night.
So I did read the letter that came out today, the review. And the drainage, you said, been addressed. I kind of looked at the plans. Couple other little things. The trash. There needs to be a dumpster on this property, somewhere. It's 6 units. I did check with administration in the town. This doesn't qualify for curbside pickup.
What, trash don't go there, ABC?
Sure they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so why they
Over
don't
so
go?
many units, they're supposed to have a dumpster.
How many units?
4.
That's what they say?
It's what town administration told me.
That's per building. He's got 3 separate buildings there. They're gonna end up getting the roll-offs, just the totes, just like you have. They're doing the same thing with a 10-building, 20-lot property down on Head of the Bay Road. I made a big issue about this during the application process. Went to the DPW, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have a trash problem.
Oh, the Settlers Glen?
Yeah.
So each get their own thing?
Get their own.
Oh,
Everybody
because they're
gets
duplexes.
a duplex, that's right.
That answers your question?
Yeah, the trash truck closes the whole street
You
down.
know, and,
The trash what?
the trash
Closes the
truck,
whole street down. There's no getting in or out.
Did I get you trash?
do
Did
they
I-
do
You're
it
on the
during-
street for
do they do it
5
during
minutes.
lunchtime and take their lunch break while they're there, or they just pick up the trash and leave?
I mean, it is what, they gotta pick up the trash, it is what it is.
You know, which house is yours, sir?
the last one on the right.
The last, is that Sarah Crooker's old house? Sally, it had a little barn out back that had an apartment built in it that was never permitted, and had a goldfish pond on the side of the house.
No, that's the house right before mine.
Oh, so you're in the duplex, you're in the
Yes.
duplex?
I mean, yeah,
You're in the duplex with a big addition on it?
correct.
Right, so there was like a two-family made, and then they put a big addition on one side?
My 2001.
Yeah,
All right, next issue.
okay.
You know, the sewer, and I understand about the pipe running and having the easements and all. My question is, if there's lots sold, there's a problem with that pipe, who fixes it?
He's making a sewer easement to his property.
Correct.
If it breaks, the house he lives in and the owner of the project, both of them on the hook, unless they have some kind of agreement.
Unless you want it, we can assign it to you.
No,
You understand? If, for instance, let's say,
Sheridan, you seem like
No.
a good neighbor, you're worried about your neighbors, maybe, you know.
Jimmy, that's okay. For instance, if this gentleman decide to sell these 6 units, he has to give a waiver for the 6 units. I'm sure the guy, person or lady, whoever buys this project, gonna need a waiver from the gentleman to go on his property and fix the pipe if it breaks. Nobody's gonna buy it without taking a waiver from him or an easement.
That language has already been prepared.
Right, and they have an easement already done. So it's on them if it breaks.
I understand that, but I know as fact there's been 2 lots sold recently that had sewer running through, and a pipe broke, and they were looking for the town to fix it.
Well, that's not the 2 lots before us tonight.
Is that on Chapel Lane? We're talking about Chapel Lane right now.
No, different.
Just give it an example.
Okay.
If it wasn't written properly when they sold the slots, that becomes a problem, yes.
Okay, the lot area, I know there's a number of waivers being asked. Is there going to be any mitigation discussed in given these waivers?
When the 40B, when you give a waiver, that's what 40B is all about. They call it a waiver, but basically, they call it a waiver, but you have to grant it.
But some of these waivers,
Are,
the square footage, it doesn't say it falls under the 40B.
that's where 40B comes in. If he has to build under 40A, it will be just a single house. So the 40B, you get all these waivers. Another way, they kind of in order by the state, whether you like it or not. But to make it look nice for us, they call it a
I've
waiver.
learned more about 40Bs in the last 6 months, not counting this project.
Right.
When you do these things, there was, in the waiver list, it says proposed 6 units, waiver requested. There's 3 waivers here under development standards, MR 20-plus commercial districts. All the others where the 40B falls under, it says under state, I'm not gonna read it all. But these all here say waiver requested.
Correct. They have waiver requested for area and frontage, I believe, or only area, right? You don't need frontage?
And the frontage, but the frontage
Frontage
is
also?
17 feet or something like that.
How much?
17 feet?
So 17 feet short.
Sure.
So they are requested a waiver for that, which they can.
Correct. And it said the square footage, a waiver.
Let me make your life easier. Where are you trying to get to? What do you want?
What do you want to mitigate? What mitigation you attempt to accomplish?
Well, there's a couple of things, and one of them, and again, for the record, I've made an issue out of this, is grinder pumps. This is a huge problem in this town. I've told the sewer commissions, I think every new build in this town should have grinder pumps.
We're not the sewer commission. It's not our problem.
Talking the mitigation thing, they add it to the plans. I'm just asking as mitigation, you're granting waivers.
Right, but if you want to add, you add a grinder pump when you have 20, 30 units, 40 units, not for 3 duplexes. It's crazy because a grinder pump, if you put a grinder pump with the holding tank, now you have to put a generator. The project become unfinancially feasible, and he'll go to housing and he'll win, and then he'll get more than what he's asking for. You can't just make him do things that it's unnecessary.
All right.
I mean, you have a duplex, you said, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a grinder pump?
I have septic.
Oh, you on septic there? Okay.
There's no sewage on Chapel Lane.
All right, so he's doing better than this. He's putting, instead of putting a septic, he's using sewer. And if it's a problem, he's gonna have to eat it. That's his problem, and let the commission decide, the sewer commissioner. That's not up for us to decide.
The problems are further down the line, at pump stations and stuff, where all this stuff is coming through. These flushable, non-flushables. They're changing the wording on packaging, but that's not solving the problem. And it is a real problem.
I understand, but that's for Mr. Campina to decide, not for us. We can't just decide, make him do it if Mr. Campina don't ask for it.
That's why I put it as mitigation.
I cannot make him do it. It's gotta come from the commission. I mean, we'll ask the board, how's that? I mean, you won't get my vote for it, you want me to ask the board?
No,
You wanna? We can ask him.
no.
No, Mr. Campino, the sewer commissioner, are aware of the project. They've approved the flow for this project. They're aware of this project.
That would, believe me, Mr. Campina knows his stuff, he would have told you. If he needs a grinding pump, he would install it.
I haven't discussed this with him at all, or anybody else.
Believe me, he knows what he's doing. If he needs it, he'll make you do it.
Oh, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on the public want to speak in favor or against? All right, let's go back to the board.
I've got a man.
All right, yes, come in.
Sir.
Come on, please. Name and address, sir. Good evening.
My name is Tony Gomes. I live on 243 Sandwich Road in East Wareham.
Yes.
I've lived there pretty much almost 60 years. I'm well familiar with Depot Street. And in my time of being there, Depot Street used to be a nice, quaint little street. Over the years, I've seen changes there, most of them on the bad side. You go all the way down the end of Depot Street by the railroad tracks, there's an old dilapidated building, there's an ex-tattoo store that's hanging in there. You know, nobody's doing much with it, not that I know of. But I have noticed Mr. Bushman's new buildings that he's put in there. And in my opinion, them two buildings have really brought up the value of that area. Now, as far as Depot Street, I don't know, not Depot Street, but Chapel Lane, I understand the previous speakers got his qualms about why he doesn't want it there. But as I say, in my opinion, I think buildings of this type would be really a change for that area. They're very good-looking buildings. I go by there, I see that grass, and the current ones for this time of year are so green. They're well-kept, and I myself am proud to say that I'm glad that somebody has put something decent in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, before we continue to wait for the draft with Mr. Sweet. So,
We can do the draft.
Are you ready to close the public portion?
well, let's see, what do you think? Continue for the draft?
Well, we could, I assume we could close it and then just discuss with the board and ourselves. I don't know if
Without a vote?
Phil has an opinion on that.
Okay.
May I,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, could I weigh in and suggest that you not close the public hearing? I think Ms. Sweet needs to provide you an updated list of waivers.
Right.
And you need to accept that in open session and consider it.
So we need to
Yes.
continue.
All right, well, how long you think, next meeting she'll be in?
Sure.
All right, let's make a motion. Anything else before you guys go? Are you good? All right, let's make a motion to continue to the 10th, okay? May 10?
May 10th, sure.
Okay, I have a motion to continue, which one is this one? 5-23, 6 Chapel Lane till May 10. Motion by Jim, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rich, all in favor say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And myself, Nazi, aye. So we see you on the second, on the 10th.
Yep.
And hopefully she has the list of waiver and with the draft and all this, deed riders, all this. Thank you, Phil, for the heads up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to the public hearing, 12-23, Onset Bay LLC on 18 Green Street. 1223, yes, please.
Waiting for people to come back.
I'm just gonna leave it there, we'll get to it.
Where's Jonathan, he left?
Jonathan? Here you go. He didn't want to laugh in public. One for you, one for you, and one for me. I gotta read this right. Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on April 26, 2023 at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. To consider petition number 12-23 for a special permit from the requirements of Article 6, Section 624, under the Wareham zoning bylaws to SHM Onset Bay LLC, FKA BOBM Inc., formerly known as Bob M. Inc., of 14785 Preston Road, Suite 975, Dallas, Texas, 75254, proposing to reconstruct non-conforming racks at 18 Green Street, Wareham, Mass. That appears on Assessors Map 3, Lot 1014, in the MRN zoning district.
All right, name and address, please.
Good evening, I'm Attorney Steve Gard for the applicant with offices in Hanover, Massachusetts. With me this evening is Tom Pazerski from Merrill Engineering and Greg Glavin from SHM Onset Bay. Before you this evening is a petition by the applicant to raise and reconstruct a pre-existing non-conforming boat storage rack located at 18 Green Street. You'll see these racks, they're located between one of the larger marine buildings and the waterfront. These racks are where the boats are typically stored, and then they're removed by a forklift and then put into the water for use on a periodic basis and then returned to the racks. The racks that are existing there now have been in existence for over 40 years and have reached the end of their useful, safe life. In fact, some of the metal material in these racks has rotted so badly that they're just not able to use them any longer. The only reason we're here tonight is because this particular rack location is within 50 feet of the residential district next door, which is to our south. Maple Avenue, I think it is, Maple Avenue. So these racks pre-existed the adoption of that bylaw, or they're there legally because they've been there for longer than 10 years.
Excuse me.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Are the racks within 50 feet, or is the lot within 50 feet?
No, the racks are. The racks. So your bylaw requires that structures and buildings be at least 50 feet from, in a commercial lot, be at least 50 feet from a residential district. So in this...
For a new structure.
Yes, for a new correct, for a new structure, right? So, and this is, we're going to raise and reconstruct this, so arguably this is technically a new structure, but we're moving it 10 feet further away from the offending residential district line. Right now, it's about 7. We're going to be just under 17, right around 16. So we're making it less non-conforming. But put it into context, the main structure, the building that's there, the main building is like 4 feet from that district. So we're actually to the waterfront side, moving it further inside of our property, rendering that non-conforming dimensional element less non-conforming. And for that, that's about it. But there are other slight improvements that are being done in connection with the reconstruction of these racks, which Tom can certainly run you through on the plan. If he wants to give a quick overview.
Sure. Tom Pazerski from Merrill Engineers. The existing bulkhead area, all of this, as you all know, is a water-dependent use. It's reached its useful life. The bulkhead itself was tilting towards the water, so that's being replaced right now. The entire pad area is being replaced, including the boat drop rack area. I think some of the interesting things about this particular proposal, one of the things that I might be concerned of is, you know, what do I see when I'm looking down at this area here? And one of the things that you want to note is if you take a look at some of the photos in the back of your package there, you can see how under pre-existing and long-standing conditions, you had boats that are put in racks that are much longer in depth. There's been racks that have had to be stacked next to the boat rack and boat drop area. And what this is going to do is, you can see we have smaller, skinnier racks. We've tightened up the area within that rack area to tuck it behind the building more. We've taken and angled the racks further away as you look down from Green Street, so it gives a nice, clean area for the boats to be put in. Nice professional-looking operation. We're going to redo the boat rack area, so it's a nice, clean boat rack area, so you're not going to see the boats getting dropped in and out because the building's in the way where the boats get dropped in and out of this particular area. And I want to also make it clear that this is not in any way, means, or shape an intensification of the use. They only have the slips that they have. You're not going to see a whole bunch more boats being here. In fact, you're probably going to see less boats having to be stacked around the yard, stacked around the rack. It's put in a nice, efficient operation where they can be taken off the racks, brought over to the boat rack, and dropped into the water as needed. So.
And that's a good point Tom made, that it's a reconfiguration of the existing operation. This allows the boatyard to get a lot of these boats that are around the marina, stored on trailers, put into the racks so that they have an opportunity to go in and out with what they call a valet service on demand by the customer with a forklift into the drop spot.
And because they can be parked more efficiently, you're going to have more view sites down from Green Street and some of the other areas. And we've been really aware of our neighbors over there to try to tuck things as tight as we can behind the existing storage building.
All right, so basically, the one to the north, you're gonna, it's 7 feet from the neighbors, from the property line, you're gonna make it 16 and 13 feet, but you're gonna make up the difference in the other side. You're gonna go another 19 feet, but the other side confirms.
Right, correct. And I would point out that I did look at this, even though the bylaw doesn't require this or allow for this, but that rack, the rack that we are reconstructing on that side is 50 feet from the nearest residential dwelling. That's not what the bylaw says. It says the residential district, but it is more than, it's a little bit over 50 feet from the corner of that residential dwelling. Oh.
Yeah, okay. All right, very well. Are you going any higher?
Yes, the racks itself will be just about 40 feet. This district allows structures in the Marine District to be 45 feet tall. So that extension is not non-conforming. It already complies, and it will not comply with the current bylaw at 45 feet.
What happened when you put the boat? How high you'll be?
They won't go above that top rack. They go underneath the top bar.
Okay.
Yeah. Correct, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Very well. All right, let's start with Troy. What do you think, Troy?
Well, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of issue with it, other than that email we got from the neighbor of the boats blowing.
I'm sure a lot of people are here for that
Yeah,
tonight.
so that email was very nice, actually. I think it was more supportive than it was an opposition, and what my understanding is what she's talking about was an incident that occurred, which won't occur with these new racks, because these new racks are definitely, like Tom said, the cells are tighter, the boats will be more secure inside the rack, they're longer and narrower, so these are designed so that won't happen, right? I would say, Greg?
Yeah, I believe that was a storm event, too, that caused it.
Yes,
That was
correct.
not just something that happened.
All right, Veronica.
Yes, I'm a little confused because I thought this was a replacement of what's existing, but you said you're going higher. What's the existing height right now?
35 feet, is it? 30?
Yeah,
30-something
I
feet.
think they're like 32 feet, but some of the boats were stacked on top. Right. So you're gonna, we're not going on top of that. So if you take those bigger boats, they're sticking much higher than I think this is gonna stack.
But again, that's not, an extension of a non-conforming structure under the purview of the board because it meets your bylaw of 45 feet. It goes up to 45 feet.
However, the one in the back, would need a variance. The one that you're making it more conforming, you're at 16 feet, you're
Yeah.
changing the height, that would need a variance to go higher.
No, because it's within 45, it's underneath the 45-foot bylaw, so it wouldn't need a
40 feet
variance.
high, Mr.
40 feet high.
Right, but
Yep.
the setback, it does not meet setback.
Right, so as a pre-existing non-conforming setback, the 7 feet, we're asking the board to make a finding that moving it to 16 feet is not substantially more detrimental under 1350.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
But making it high is a variance.
No, I don't agree that that's a variance, because the bylaw allows you to go to 50 feet, 45 feet for structures in the Marine District, which,
I understand. It allows you if you meet setback, but you don't with the height.
It'll be an extension.
With the extension of the height.
So it's an extension of a non-conforming setback, right? So you're extending you're extending the non-conformity.
So
The height is not being extended.
Right,
But- So just like when you have a house that's 7 feet, if you make that from a border, if you make the house longer this way, it's 7 feet, so you extended that non-conformity as it goes. They're just going they're just going up rather than horizontal. They are extending
The
the
non-conformity.
non-conformity.
No.
The setback.
No, because the law says that it would be an alteration or extension of the non-conforming nature of the structure. The non-conforming nature of this structure is the 7 feet from the sideline, from the district. We are not extending or altering that, we're making it less non-conforming by putting that at 16 feet. The height itself is already at a conforming height, and the proposed height will be at a conforming height. So that's why the board doesn't have to address that issue, because it's already at a conforming height.
What they're trying to tell you is that everything they are adding in height is an extension, and is an extension of the distance on the setback. That's,
No, I don't agree.
Let me
The distance on the
explain.
setback is the distance on the setback.
you own property, you own it all the way down to the core of the earth and all the way up as far as you can go. The only ones that can mess with you is the FAA.
But the bylaw does not address this in a volume or massing. There's no volume or massing requirement under the bylaw. The bylaw is very specific to its dimensional requirements, and one of which is the 50 feet, and one of which is the 45 feet. And the structure meets the 45 feet, and it doesn't meet, because it's pre-existing non-conforming.
Okay.
My point is that how can you can't get a variance for something that complies with the bylaw.
No, listen,
because
let
it's
me
45
explain it
feet.
to you. In our bylaw, you could extend the non-conformity of a law or a structure or a crack, whatever it is. In the extension, under our section 1355, if the board feels so detrimental, the board can act upon it as a variance. Will not act on it as a special permit.
That's 1350, correct, yep. Yes.
50 or 55,
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
them. So you could do it, however, I'm not saying you can't do it, but if the board feel it so much detrimental, the board's gonna act on it as a variance. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I guess you could. I mean, I can't tell you what you can and cannot do.
Well, it's not what we can or can't, it's what's the bylaw instruct us to do.
Well, what I'm saying is that I'm having trouble understanding how the board could take the position that something that meets the height requirement would A, be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, or B, it needs a variance.
You're not hearing them.
I'm hearing them.
We're not arguing the height.
Okay.
We're not arguing the height.
Okay.
Height isn't the argument. The argument is anything from the pre-existing height to the new height is a new nonconformity on the setback to the sideline.
Now, any other...
I've been doing this, I've never
Sir.
had anybody tell me that that's the case. When a structure
There's
meets
always
the
a
height
first
requirement.
time. This is different board.
But yeah.
Let me explain to you now, the front, whatever you call the south side, that you don't need a variance, because you can go to 40 feet, because you don't have a setback issue.
Oh, yeah, no, that I know, yeah, of course, that's not even before you this evening, because it meets Paul and I have discussed it, it meets the criteria, it's entitled to a building permit, that's not before you. The only thing that's before you is the one to the west side.
Right, but the west side and the other side, the one that meets setback, also on the end of the building, where's the water? This is the water, that's the water right here. Well, you own the water, so it doesn't, never mind on that one.
So where's the setback? Over here? Is this what we're,
Yeah, that's,
okay. It was 7 and now it's, so they're bringing them in?
Bring it in over 10 feet, sir.
all right. Everybody said their mind, we'll start with fun, with the
You have room for
public.
that? I don't think we can get 50 feet away.
So I don't know if this is what the letter, the email we got was referring to this. I think they were talking about one way around the other side of the building, out in the...
We'll get to this, we'll get to that. Richard?
Sounds to me like
So these can be...
Yeah. Yeah. Can you turn that drawing so far? Go ahead, Richard, what do you want to say?
So I think we
It
might have a
sounds like
solution.
they're cleaning it up, trying to make as much of it to make sense. So they're going in a good direction. It sounds like the nonconformity is the issue, so if we can hammer that out, that'll be great.
Okay. Anything else before we go to public? That's the fun part. You good? All right. And the public, who's in favor? Favor first. Okay, I see none. Who's against? Come forward. How many against? All right, so come forward and limit it to 3-4 minutes, not more than this, because we have a long night. And sit down, reach your mic and get to the point, like...
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name is Timothy Bigelow. I live at 25 Prospect Street, and I am in a butter. First of all, these people have been wonderful. I love working with them, etc. I did see, and I was there, and saw one of the boats fly off the top rack. It had been, and it was, it had been tethered down, and I'm concerned about the safety issues with the height of the racks. And I think that that is something that I haven't seen everything, but I've heard it's going to go higher, and I'm concerned about that.
What else you have concerns, other than that?
Those are the only real concerns that I have.
Okay, thank you. Counselor or the engineer?
Who's next?
Hello? No, before next. Who's the engineer? You have an engineer? Is the gentleman there?
Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, you gotta pay attention here.
I'm sorry.
You gotta pay attention. The gentleman raised the issue about the boat flying. Is it, I'll tell the gentleman, it has to be designed by law and whatever the code says. So, and what do you answer to him with that boat flying?
The big difference is these new racks are tighter, they have a better racking system, they have the I-beam on top, so there's more capabilities to secure and tie these things down, much better than the old racks. Because some of those old racks were just sort of hodgepodge racks put together. These are provided by a professional marine rack building company, and they're much more stout than the other ones were.
So what I'm looking at is that it's almost like a little mailbox. You're just going to slide it in.
Correct.
It's completely surrounded by it.
None on top.
Yeah,
There's none on top.
can't
It
pull
sounds
up
like
and
it's
all
10
up.
times safe, 50 times safer than what it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, next person against? Come forward, please.
How you doing? Hi, my name's Frank Puccioli from 1 Maple Ave.
Yeah.
First off, this is probably a second meeting out of multiple meetings that, and I'm less than 50 feet away from this. I'm right there. I have not been notified for one of these things besides by a neighbor telling me. I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of neighbors that don't know this meeting's going on. And I really would like to continue this until this problem, we had it with conservation, but
Let me explain. Is that, which mailing address you use, Maple Street, or you live somewhere else?
no, I live 1 Maple Ave. I'm a full-time resident there.
Okay, I assure you that the assessor, the town sent the notices, and they have a receipt that they send it to you.
Do you have a list of where they
Yes,
are?
1 second. Go ahead, John.
Jonathan Dickinson, Assistant Town Planner. So based on the address of the applicant, from the main building and the main address is the 300 feet, not from where the racks are located. I did a research today from a neighbor that came in, and when you do the 300 feet on our near map, which is about 1 to 2 feet plus or minus, those addresses are not included in the 300 feet, so the assessors is correct.
Did you get that? And the zoning, I know, and for zoning, when you apply for a variance or special permit, you notify 300-foot radius or an abutter and an abutter, or 300.
I'm 50 feet from these racks. I'm 50 feet from the racks and 50 feet from the back. I'm right on Maple Ave. So I know they try to say that, well, we have 3 different parcels there, but it's still one organization. And is all the people that go up Maple Street that abut that organization do not get notified. And a guy that, I don't know, Clive Wilson on the other side of me, he was notified. So it's like, one of my neighbors was notified, I got missed. the other guy got notified. So I'm not too sure how this whole system's working, because I don't think I can get any closer to the marina.
What's your address, sir?
1 Maple Ave.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan, is the 300 feet from property line or from rack?
Believe it's from the property line, but the address that was given, which is 18 Green Street, is on the other side, and the addresses with the racks are different addresses. So the address that was given, and that's what the assessors,
No, it has to be in that building.
the building.
It has to be the project, not the address of the company.
That's what was given to the town, was the 18 Green Street, which is on the right side, which is further away from the racks.
We had this issue with conservation, they were gonna look into it, and once again, I just found this out, and there's a lot of neighbors that are not here. I would like to continue this and have people being notified properly, because again, this might not be a big deal, but I know nothing about this.
Right.
And what I do know right now is the work that's being done, there is no one overseeing it, I guess. It's hard, when my house is shaking because they're piling, you call one department, it's not our problem. You call another department, it's not our problem. Whose problem is it then? I don't know whose problem it is. And this is what we're having. So what did we do? We grit and bear it, we left our house, and hope that nothing happened.
When your house shaken from what? From a storm?
No, shaking from when they were putting 150 pylons in to that new bunker. They were doing it, they were using an excavator, and I realized once you guys changed over to the barge and used it, the shaking stopped. And I thank you for that. But
All right.
it was like half the project, I got video of my house shaking.
All right, we have to address this issue with notifying the abutter. It's from the project, Jonathan, not from the address given.
I understand, Chair. I will make sure that when we get projects that.
We
they have
gotta
correct
see
address.
how the board feel. If the board feels this way, it's a defective application, they're gonna have to reapply. What do you feel about this?
Well, I kind of feel like everybody should be notified properly.
From the construction site, not from the address of the company. Veronica,
I agree.
Jimmy?
I wouldn't call it a defective, I would just say that we could, I'd hate to see them have to pay the application fee again. I'd rather just see everybody remailed at their expense, so that everybody gets the mailing.
We won't pay the application fee, but they'll pay for the mailing
The mailing, right.
and advertising. Richard, what do you think?
I agree with Jim.
That being said, it's gotta be 300 feet and abutter to the abutter from the project, not from your building across the street, because that's what you use. Would you like to continue and listen to people, or call it off?
No, we'll continue if we gave the legal address for the site, and we
The legal
relied on
address,
the
but-
assessor's, the assessor's list, so I didn't
If
look at
I
it any
might, I
further.
don't see why we'd be continuing when this hearing, we're saying that it's, right, needs to properly be notified, so people aren't going to hear what's being spoken about. So I feel that we should be just tabling it.
So I recommend, withdraw without prejudice and reapply?
I don't think we need to deny them, I think we just.
No, not withdraw without prejudice. I think your best bet to withdraw without prejudice and reapply 300 feet from the property.
I think if we continue to another date, that gives us time to publish and to do the mailings like we would normally, that satisfies the publication, the notification statute, so.
I think.
I'd rather not waste this, this whole hearing.
It's
on
just an
having to
oversight
reapply.
on the address, so we just get that straightened out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only thing I would request is also, I think that there needs to be an extension of the time to make a decision
yeah,
from.
we'll agree to that, yeah. If
All
we're
right.
agreeing to the, if we're requesting the continuance, to make the corrections, or to allow the assessor to make the corrections to the notifications, because I can't do those, we all know that, then we will agree to a like-kind extension to the time within which the board needs to make a decision on the application.
Jonathan, what's the deadline on decision on that one?
Special permit, it should be right on the
That's on
front of
here.
the application.
Yeah.
25th of July?
Oh, we
Yes.
get time. All right, that's gonna take about a month to advertise and send it, and re-advertise in the paper twice. So, I will get onto this tomorrow. I
Yeah.
will get on it right
I'll
away.
talk to Jonathan, we'll get the dates so that we can get the notifications back tomorrow.
So you have to get the assessor's
Oh,
list
do
at
you
the
want
right
to-
address, send it to me, we'll get the fees and we'll get it.
Yep, and we need the date for the publication and the notification.
Correct. Yep.
Okay,
Just keeping in mind that the town hall is closed on Friday.
yeah. Yeah, today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, so
Yep.
we'll work on it tomorrow.
If I could, please, I've got the town GIS website here, and I've got the request for the certified abutters list. It's map 3, parcel 1014, which covers both sides of the street. So the list is correct. The list, the fault is not in safe harbors. So if somebody wasn't notified within 300 feet, we have the form right here, it's in your packet. We notified the correct address. We went through the same thing with the Conservation Commission 2 or 3 times. There was a mistake the first time, but the second 2 times that people said they weren't notified, they were notified. And I'm not questioning any of them, I don't. We've worked with this gentleman before, he's very honorable. But we gave the right address. So if there's, and the last thing we want is, we don't want this thing properly vetted either, but I think this is really a continuance and just confirmation that we did the right thing, because I'm confident that we did, based on what I'm seeing on the town GIS site.
I don't think that's the question.
Is the gentleman, his name on that list?
The list is in the application, I would have to look.
Let me see that.
So if that's not the question, sir, then what is the question?
I look, we don't have it.
He's not.
When you go to our,
Sir,
One Maple.
we got one Gray, one
One Maple.
one Maple.
Thank you.
not street,
Because, and with all due respect, the last person who wants to have this happen too is us, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Definitely.
5 is the first one we got, then it goes 9 and... No, yeah, I did, I went through them all.
There's no one?
No, there is no one.
That's ID number we requested the list of 1014. It does appear that we requested the assessor's abutters list for 1014, that parcel.
which is 18 Green Street.
Right, but it's the parcel that's right here.
But the address that comes up, it is 18 Green, so whatever the assessors comes up, but when you go to our GIS on the computer and you select the left, parcels on the other side, it comes up as different addresses, not at 18 Green Street.
I think we should,
It doesn't show that
Doesn't it
way.
go by
It
the
doesn't
parcel?
show that way on your GIS.
Yeah, it did when I
And maybe that's
checked.
the problem, because there might be a problem with the GIS.
I would think that would go from the parcel ID that we requested from, not the address.
I think that, for the record, as a member of the
probably
board,
why.
I recognize that it wasn't the applicant's error.
Thank you.
I think that's all you're arguing for, is
Thank you.
that you tried to cross your Ts and dot your Is. There was an
Especially where
error.
it happened before.
We're not pointing the finger at you.
No, but I want these people to be heard too, you know, because we're trying to be good neighbors too.
The gentleman from 1 Maple, he's tied up in his phone right
understand.
now. I invite you to go by the planning office, okay? And go by the assessor's office and look at the assessor's maps. You seem to have a good feel for the neighborhood. And maybe take a yellow pad with you and jot down all the ones that you think should have been on the list. Well, no, it's better. It's, I call it system of checks and balances. I'm asking you to generate a list without the,
No, let's not.
Well, why don't we continue? We want to do
bring it
pick
to
a
the
date a
planning
month from now,
Time out,
then
time
we
out.
can work towards that.
Yeah.
Would that make sense,
Does
Mr.
the
Chair?
board want to continue
yeah.
hearing the people, or you want to say no?
Not all the people are here.
Yeah,
All right, we gotta continue it.
that's fine,
We're gonna continue it.
that's fine. Mr. Chair,
Concern is that there's gonna be discussion that other people weren't part
Right.
of.
All right, so we're gonna continue until May 24th.
Is that soon enough?
that's okay. Well, that'll give us time to do that. If it pleases the board, are there any other questions or comments they have on the plan, other than what we talked about, the height and the setbacks, that we should address so that the next meeting would be, you know, hopefully a one and done, or, you know, we
Well,
get
I'd like to, if I might, I'd like to hear from the commissioner on the extension of the nonconformity.
Sure.
Increase height.
Yes, and I would like you to hear from him as well, because he and I have gone through this together, so.
Commissioner, do you mind?
Oh, I didn't mean today, I'm sorry.
No, no, that's fine.
I didn't think
You were talking about for next meeting, so that's what.
No, no, let's hear from
We
him
want it
right
cleaned
now.
up before next meeting.
Time out. Let's hear from him
Like
now
it-
so
if
they
he
have
can-
a
If he
homework.
can answer it now, then we wouldn't have to worry about it,
Right.
right?
Please, Commissioner. Just your name for the record again.
Paul Turner, Building Commissioner, Town of Wareham.
Just the mic closer, please.
So what the board did bring up, they are correct. Non-conforming structure built in the same footprint to an increased building height. It's 1352, note number 1.
That's your answer.
Okay,
Thank you, Commissioner.
we have a solution, working on a solution. We're probably gonna, we'll take what was there inside the 50, we'll keep it at the existing height, and then we can raise the other section that's outside the 50 to 40 feet. So I think we solved that problem.
Okay. Doesn't mean that the board won't grant it to you.
No, I get it,
You
but
could,
that's
you
probably
know.
what we'll come back with, is that within the 50, we'll keep it at the 33 feet, and then we'll, we can make it what we want on the other side,
You
because,
lose two or
Okay.
three boats.
what's that?
All right.
Yeah, if that, because, remember, this structure is, we had boats on top of the rack, and technically the 33 was the top of the rack, but there were boats that were probably another 10 feet, 11, 12 feet higher. So, I mean, I'm not making the argument that we can go to that level because there were boats there. I'm not sure that that would hold water, but we're gonna be having them underneath I-beams in it's not a roof structure, but there is a structure to the structure that will be above the boats that will be.
All right, we're not gonna continue arguing about it, otherwise
It's fine.
it doesn't make sense.
Give them time to
Continued,
advertise and,
Yeah.
don't you
Yeah.
have 30 days
And,
or
Mom.
Yeah, I was
something?
thinking the
yeah,
exact.
that is
Has to
30
be in the
days.
paper 2 times, right?
30 days from when?
Jonathan, is that enough until the 24th?
Sorry, say that again?
Can you guys be quiet, please? Just be quiet so we could hear each other. On the 24th, is that enough to advertise for May 24th?
Get it advertised and
It needs 21 days for the hearing, so that should...
Yeah, it should be enough. We're
Should be
gonna
enough.
start right away.
Thank you.
All right, can we have a motion? Yes.
Another question. Can you provide us with pictures of what the actual structure is going to look like? It's hard to depict from,
We'll see if our other sites have them, but we
Have any?
just have the drawings from the manufacturer, so.
oh, they don't have actual three-dimensional?
No, it's
Okay.
just a giant, erector set.
All right. Can we get a motion to continue?
so moved.
I have a motion to continue 12-23, 18 Green Street, until May 24. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Veronica. All in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Yes.
Rich?
Aye.
And myself, Nazir, aye. Continue until May 24. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you,
board
very
members.
welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. He's got one too. Thank you.
Because I did,
Jonathan, make sure it's from the property, from
Yes,
that
no,
location.
I understand. Because I did check today, and when I clicked on it, it wasn't, it would select that it had a different address than the 18, so... Yeah, Canwell.
Do you have anything to
No,
hand
I
it
get
back, Richard, or you already gave it back?
I gave you Jimmy. man.
Yeah, you already did, thank you.
All right, we have Michael Cloutier, care of Timothy Sicard, Venice on Blackmore Pond.
Sure, it's letters, all right, thank you.
1323. Good job putting these in order. Thank you, Jonathan, helps. It helps to have everything kind of like,
Yep.
here you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
There is something colorful here, I don't know if that's in the folder, so I'm just gonna give it to you in
Boy, I
case
could
you
go
need
for a
it.
bottle of water right now.
The big one here too, so I'll have that to you.
I heard there was some water hidden back there somewhere.
Must be some left over from the town meeting last night. They were handing out all kinds of bottles of water.
Bottles of water.
They were tiny, but there was a bunch of them.
The Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on April 26, 2023, at 6:30 PM in Room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. To consider petition number 13-23 for a variance from the requirements of Article 6, Section 625, under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Michael Cloutier, care of Timothy Sicard of 468 Fisher Road, Dartmouth, Mass. 02747, proposing to build a freestanding garage/workshop, 24 feet by 30 feet with a height of 23 feet at 241 Blackmore Pond Road, Wareham, Mass., which appears on Assessors Map 68, Lot 1009/A in the R60 zoning district.
All right, your name and address, please, for the record, whoever's speaking.
Michael Cloutier, 241 Blackmore Pond Road, here in Wareham. My name's Tim Sicard. I'm from 468 Fish Road, Dartmouth, Mass. I'll be the contractor. Michael's requesting to build a freestanding building with the dimensions of 24 by 30 feet with a lean-to off the side.
Let me stop you before, is there a house on that building, on that lot?
There's a house on that lot, yes.
There's a house already?
Yes. So this is about a difference of 3 feet in height. The zoning requires 20-foot height, and the building that we're proposing is only 3 feet taller than that.
Okay. So, sorry, continue. You can continue. Sorry, I stopped you.
So Michael is requesting to build a freestanding building. He's going to be using this building as a hobbyist wood shop. He's requested that we use a live load floor system for the second floor deck in order to utilize the space for storage. That second floor will be accessed from a stairway located on the first floor of the garage. We're requesting the variance for the additional height just for the practicality of the space on the second floor. We feel it's necessary, that way it'll be comfortable for the headroom height as you're walking on the second floor.
Okay, and I believe the board understands what we're here for. It's a variance for height. Accessory structures can be over 20 feet. Do you not remember, we did a couple of those. Instead of doing a flat roof, we gave them a gable.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll start by Troy. What do you think?
The plans look good. I don't have a problem with it, other than, not having living space above the second floor there.
Veronica?
No comment this time.
Richard?
No comment at this time.
Jimmy?
I'm all set. I think it's a nice-looking building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How tall is your house? Do you know?
It's got to be 30 feet. I've been working up on the top of the chimney stack, and it's quite high, steep roofs.
You bringing any plumbing on that, in that building?
No,
You gonna bring no
not
plumbing?
at this point.
No.
Just electric?
Yes.
Anyone on the public want to speak in favor of this project? How about against? Yes, ma'am. I'm in favor. Just come state your name. Name and address.
I'm trying to give her garage back.
I'm Mary Cloutier, 241 Blackmore Pond Road.
You in favor?
I'm in favor, yes.
All right, very well, thank you. Any board questions?
Not at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
Any discussion for that motion before we second it? Richard, no discussion?
No.
All right, can I have a second for that?
Second?
Yeah.
Second by Troy, all in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And myself, Nazir, it's closed. Any discussion?
I'd like, if there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to grant the relief of 3 extra feet in height.
Okay, any discussion on the motion for maybe conditions or something? I'd like to put a condition that no plumbing will be installed to the building, nor or no living space above the garage.
No plumbing to the building or just to the second floor?
Building also, you're not bringing plumbing to the garage, are you?
It's right off the side of the leaching field. At this time, I do not plan to be bringing any plumbing to it, but the leaching field, and it would, if we did, we had consulted, and it would be a matter of having to put another tank in order to go from the tank to the leaching field. And I don't need that additional expense. I'm the owner of the property. I'll just go to the house if I have to.
Okay, so we'll keep it without plumbing. No plumbing, no living space above the garage or in the garage, okay? Making these decisions, you get that, Jonathan?
I did.
Okay, so that's motion by Jim, amended by me. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rich. All in favor, say aye. Richard?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Nazi.
One
Carries.
question before we're done. Does this mean you can't even have a garden hose on the side of the building?
If there's no plumbing,
You can run it from the house to the garden, I mean, to the shed.
Okay.
it
just wanna be
passed.
sure.
You're good.
Yep.
Sorry, what was your comment?
I said you probably could run the hose from the house over to the shed if you needed any water.
Look what I'm doing now.
All right, you good?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Bruins are down 1-0.
14-23.
No, they're not, they're tied up. Marchand scored, so we're tied up. Don't spread rumors, man. I just gave you the rights, don't ruin it.
14-23, Andrew Topoulos, variance 12 Highland Road. Okay, 1 second.
I'm sorry.
No, you're all right.
I'm sorry you didn't
Oh,
do my
okay.
other homework.
That's all right, that's all right. We're trying to do it right now. Not worry about it. It happens. Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing April 26, 2023, 6:30 PM, room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 14-23 for a variance from the requirements of Article 6, Section 625, under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Andrew Topoulos of 12 Highland Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, proposing to construct a detached one-car garage within the side setback at 12 Highland Road, Mass. This appears on Assessors Map 61, Lot 1133, in the Wareham Village 2 zoning district.
Counselor?
Great. Attorney Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street. And thank you, it's pronounced Topoulos.
I'm sorry.
That didn't mean to correct you, just to give you clarification.
That and aluminum,
Yeah. So I represent the Topoulos family. They have lived in this property for quite some time. And they have a lovely home, landscaped in the back. It's really a pride of ownership in this quaint little neighborhood. They have a garage, it's a one-car garage, and they did a plot plan and figured out that that garage is actually encroaching on the neighbor's property, about a foot, about 18 inches, I believe. So what they're looking to do is this garage, and the applicant put some pictures in there so you could see it's in disarray, it's unusable, to raise that structure, get it on their property line to have this title issue fixed, but it isn't still meeting the setbacks at this point. So we do need a variance in regards to this. So looking at this property and this site, I think it's a classic variance, I'm sorry, special permit. It's special permit, so even, yeah, it's not substantially detrimental to anyone in the neighborhood. And there also is abutters letters where people have really thought it's great, and actually the direct abutter wrote one of those letters as well, saying, thank you, this is gonna help my title if she ever wanted to sell the property as well, because this would come up on any sort of transaction, even through a mortgage inspection plan, that there's an encroachment. If you do look at the little plan that you have there, you can see how the driveway hugs the side of the building quite tight. I don't know if you've gone on the site. So if we had to make this conforming and put it 10 feet, I mean, there's a stone wall there. They'd have to redo the driveway. It really would be an impracticality for my client. So I would ask that the board approve this for the homeowners, and happy to answer any and all questions.
Very well, thank you,
Yeah.
Councilor. Start by Troy.
I have no questions.
Veronica.
I have no questions.
Jimmy.
No questions. If the neighbor is in favor of it, I say let's just bang it through.
Richard.
Oh, I agree. I mean, they're trying to do the right thing, get it off the property. There's their hardship, they can't move it. I think they'll be fine.
Okay.
I approve of it.
All right, anyone on public want to speak in favor of this project? Anyone against? I hear none.
That said, I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
Before we go further, just 1 second.
Okay?
Is there anybody here?
Okay. Well, the commissioner letter asked for a variance. It is an existing non-conforming. Commissioner, do you mind to ask you a question? Under which section we
Yeah,
could
that's
act?
where, I'm sorry to cut you off.
I just want to see which section we act upon it if we feel less detrimental to go as, is it 1355? 1355 would allow us to go on a special permit, no? Yeah, 1355.
Here's your letter.
Yeah.
You got it? Okay.
Because I'd rather grant a special permit than a
Yeah, I
variance.
could go either way. That's why I prepared a variance
I just want
memorandum
to
for
see
you.
the argument of the commissioner.
So the applicant applied a couple of years ago, and Requena at that time, issued a letter for a variance because they're going to increase the size. Right now, it's going to be the same size that it is right now, 20 by 10, is that correct?
Yeah.
No, it's a little bigger.
Okay. At that time, they were going to increase it by 2 feet. So he wrote a letter for a variance, which it would have been then, because they're increasing the nonconformity of the building. So this went on since '21, then the applicant came again August 18th to the 15th. So I think it was a mistake that the variance was written there. You could do it as a special permit.
Under 1355. Correct. That's what I thought. All right, very well, thank you, Commissioner. All right, that being said, now you could close if you want to close.
Yeah, my motion stands, and the proposed structure is 12 by 20, not 10 by 20.
All right, 12/8, okay. We have a motion to close by Jim, do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Richard, all in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Myself, Nazi, aye, is closed. Now, the motion,
Well, I move that this is not detrimental to the neighborhood, and it should be treated as a special permit.
do you care if we don't overturn just keep it the way it is from the commissioner without overturning it?
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
include 1355, okay, that's fine. We have Jim's motion that it's not so detrimental, we'll act on it as a special permit. Do I have a second on that? I have a
Second.
second by Troy, all in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Myself, Nazi, aye. Now on the special permit.
Then I make a motion to grant relief as a special permit,
As presented,
as presented.
with standard condition, and the findings is not detrimental,
Right.
substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. Do I have a second on Jim's Motion?
Second.
Second by Troy. All in favor, say aye. Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And myself, aye. It carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last one. 15-23, Linnell Butterfield, appeal on 12 Great Neck Road.
You done, right?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yours was together.
All
Give
right.
it to him first.
And this is the last one you put here already?
I'd give to you.
Okay. Get this folder out of the way. So Butterfield is 1520.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Craig Hartwell.
I gotta read it
12
in,
Great
Greg.
Neck Road.
Yes, we're just gonna read it for the
I gotta
record.
reread it. Thank you. Thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on April 26, 2023 at 6:30 PM, room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service 48 Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 15-23 for an appeal of the building inspector notice of violation from the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, subsection 15, under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Lynn Butterfield and Peace for All Animals, care of Craig Hartwell Esquire of 200 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. For the property located at 12 Great Neck Road, Wareham, Mass. That appears on Assessors Map 17, Lot 1008, in the R30 zoning district.
Okay, Counselor?
Good evening. Excuse me. We're here tonight appealing the building.
Just your name for the record. Oh, you already said it, sorry.
Craig Hartwell, here on behalf of 12 Great Neck Road.
Yep.
We're here appealing the building commissioner's notice of violation. He has noticed a violation that the use of an animal shelter rescue is not allowed. It is our opinion that this is a Dover Amendment case. As background, most cases dealing with the Dover Amendment deal with properties greater than 5 acres that are used for agriculture. To avoid conflicting with this law, this is why the Wareham bylaws allow for animal kennels, riding stables, fur farms and piggeries, and veterinary hospitals by right in all districts if the land is greater than 5 acres. For agricultural uses that are not covered by the 5 specific animal-related uses, the bylaws differentiate agricultural uses by the size of the lot. While prohibited in the WV2, CG, CP, INS, and IND zones, agricultural uses are allowed in the R30 zone, both for parcels greater than and less than 5 acres. In this case, the building commissioner has determined that the current use isn't any of the animal-related uses listed in the bylaws, but has created an additional classification for the use as an animal rescue adoption service that is not allowed. Nowhere in the Wareham bylaws is there a reference to a definition of animal rescue shelter. Nowhere in the table of uses is there a prohibition for animal rescue or shelters. Without a definition of the use that contains a distinction based on the size of the parcel, such blanket prohibitions are invalid under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 3, known as the Dover Amendment. There was some question from the building commissioner about whether the animal rescue was licensed here in Massachusetts. I apologize, I provided this earlier, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
This is a letter from January 23rd, 2020, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Department of Agricultural Resources. To Ms. Bond, Henry Bond, Earth Lodge Inc., doing business as Peace for Ponies, 12 Great Neck Road, East Wareham. Dear Ms. Bond, based on the application information supplied by Earth Lodge Inc., doing business as Peace for Ponies, located at 12 Great Neck Road, East Wareham, Mass., you are hereby approved to deal with equines originating from the Commonwealth as well as equines imported into Massachusetts in accordance with applicable statutes and regulations. In addition, you are hereby approved to deal in pet birds originating from within and outside the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You are hereby approved to deal in cats and dogs originating from within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You are hereby approved to deal in all other animals not specifically addressed herein, such as livestock and pocket pets originating from within and outside of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, provided you are compliant with all applicable laws and rules and regulations for the handling and importation.
Okay.
The current use of the property as an animal rescue is protected by the Dover Amendment and by the clear language of these bylaws. Thank you.
All right. Do you have a site plan, certified site plan of that property?
We do not. We are working on that right now. I was trying to meet with the building commissioner recently, and you denied our efforts to do that.
Why would you need to meet him if you, what's a site plan?
Because we're trying to address the concerns of the building commissioner by moving or removing some of the structures that are on the property. And
How many structures on the property right now?
I believe there's 5.
5 or 7?
We've removed 2 of them.
Okay.
And we've actually combined 2 into 1 as well, so I believe there's 4 that are in dispute.
Are these
That's why we were trying to
permitted structures?
They have not been permitted before.
Okay. The license you're speaking about from the state,
Correct, sir.
if the state gives a license and the town don't give them a permit to use it, what good is the license? Under what, you're talking chapter 40A, right? You're not a 40B. So how can the state impose a bylaw with the license for us to accept it on a property that the bylaw or the board does not grant you that permit to use?
I don't know, you don't need a permit for an exempt use under Chapter 48, Section 3.
Well, in Wareham, you do need a permit if you have more than 3 dogs, 3 animals. You need a permit. You
Where's
need a
the-
variance or special permit. You're allowed only 3 animals maximum.
Which bylaw are you referring to, sir?
Our bylaw for anything,
You can't have more than 3 animals on your property?
yes.
Which bylaw are you referring to, sir?
The Wareham bylaws. You're in R30 there, right?
Yes, sir.
Animal kennels less than 5 acres, you need a special permit from zoning.
We're not an animal kennel, sir. That's not the violation that's been issued.
Okay. I'm gonna call the commissioner to clarify it for us. Veterinary hospital, you're allowed for less than 5 acres with special permit zoning, but that ran out because you never exercised it.
Those are not the violations that have been issued, sir. He has not issued a single violation for any of those bylaws.
We're gonna hear from him because this get complicated, and last time I wasn't here when it was done, so we'll listen from him. Commissioner, have a seat, please. State your name. And while he's talking, I'll read this quick to myself. All right, so Commissioner, if you explain to us exactly what's the violation for?
Paul Turner, Building Commissioner, Town of Wareham.
Yep.
So while he's looking at that, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So in his response, in the notice of violation where it goes on, it's 3 pages long, he's rescinded all prior notices of violation. But then he has gone, he being commissioner, has gone on to point out that there are 7 buildings on the property that were not permitted. In his remedy section, it says, remove all animals from the site except up to 3 dogs within 30 days. That was on February 23rd, so that should have happened by March 23rd. And then he goes on to say, complete application must be submitted within 15 days for the 7 individual buildings. That was on February 23rd, should have happened by March 10th. I'd like to ask the commissioner, have there been any applications for those 7 buildings?
The application was submitted, let's see. It was submitted on March 14th, On the 15th of March, I replied to the portal, permitting portal, to Mr. Hartwell, that the applications were not complete. He submitted a plot plan, a site plan, that did not have the 7 buildings located on it or identified with side or rear setbacks. So he was notified that on the 15th. So that was 7 weeks, 42 days ago, since the last time I heard from him. They are not complete and no response.
With all due respect, to say there's no response is inaccurate, sir. You know very well that there has been a response because you replied to him in response to my response. I asked for a meeting. I've asked for several meetings. I've been denied every time to have a meeting with the building commissioner. I met with him immediately after our last meeting on March 8th to ask him if we could set up a meeting for the following week. He replied no, he would not meet with me. I sent him an email prior to filing the application with this board asking for an extension because we're working with the engineer. We've already had preliminary plans drawn. We've already moved buildings around. We've moved fences. We are trying our best to hit everything within the side yard setbacks and provide you with a valid plan. He has since refused to meet with us again. Mr. Ekalasi has said he doesn't have to meet with us. So at this point, I guess I would like to ask for a continuance for 60 days, and I would ask this board to reach out to town council for their opinion, because even the Massachusetts Municipal Association recommends that in any case dealing with the Dover Amendment, that the municipality reaches out to their town council for advice before making any decision on the matter.
I mean, you keep buying time and buying time. Well, I mean, why we keep getting extension after an extension?
But we've been working this whole time.
I understand. I want to how in the R30, how many animals you could have less than 5 acres on a property without a special permit from zoning?
Animal kennels, no more than 3 dogs. That's how I came up with that.
How about pigs, horses?
I don't see anywhere that you could have it.
The Board of Health, when it comes to pigs, the Board of Health regulates that. The Board of Pigs defines piggeries as owning 3 or more pigs.
Yeah, but the Board of Health is not zoning.
However, pigs may be kept as household pets.
I understand, but bear with me. Board of Health, they could say on a lot that's 1,000 square feet, septic system, perks, and it's allowed, but in zoning's eyes, it's not buildable. So Board of Health is not zoning. But in here, it says piggeries, fur farms, not allowed, not allowed.
We're not a piggery or a fur farm, and we haven't been issued a violation for that.
All right, so, but you have more than 3 animals there.
Correct. And you haven't shown that there's a violation by having more than 3 animals. He hasn't claimed that there's a violation for having more than 3 animals. His only violation is said that is due to the fact that it is an animal rescue shelter. That is the only violation that has been issued. Not for the piggeries, not for an animal kennel, not for a fur farm, not for a veterinary hospital. Those have all been rescinded. The only violation is saying that that the animal rescue shelter is not allowed.
Right, but animal rescue shelter, you have more than 3 animals.
Correct.
And you're not allowed.
Agricultural use, there's no limit on the number of animals on the property.
No. That's not true.
I would request an extension of time, even 30 days, sir, and I would request that this board reach out to town council for their opinion on the matter. I don't think it's an unreasonable request to ask for town council to weigh in when we are now in our 4th meeting in the 3rd different iteration of what the violation is.
So you telling me agriculture use, you could have pigs, horses, all these things?
Yes, sir.
That's the definition of agriculture use?
Keeping of horses, keeping of animals.
So
that's why I would ask town council to weigh in, because it is a complicated issue dealing with the Dover Amendment.
So I'm reading online the Dover Amendment, or the Dover Protection, right? And it says here, it's been narrowed by recent court decisions, and it says a nonprofit educational corporation, the actual use of a particular facility must have education as the primary or dominant purpose to qualify for Dover Protection.
The fact that you're bringing up educational uses shows that we need to have town council involved, because there's several uses, several exemptions under the Dover Amendment. Educational uses is just one of them. Group homes is another one that's covered by it. We're not a group home, which is an agricultural use, it's the first one listed under the Dover Amendment.
I looked this up, I had this all, I might have this with me, I did, I might have this with me.
I understand it's a complicated issue, that's why we're requesting an extension and to meet with town council. We've already asked to meet with the town planner and the town building commissioner, and they both refused. The least we could do is get an opinion from town council on the matter.
Council, our definition for agriculture use, 340.1. Agriculture uses includes the use of land for agriculture, horticulture, floriculture, or viticulture, and the use of expansion or reconstruction of existing structure thereon the primary purpose of agriculture, horticulture, and floriculture. Horticulture will include greenhouses and growing, keeping nursery stock, and the sale therefore. So that's farm stand or roadside stand, structure erected, which you don't have farm stand. So it doesn't, our definition, agriculture use, doesn't include what the state's saying.
I'm sorry?
The definition of agriculture use on our bylaws, it doesn't say what the state's saying. What are you saying?
I said the state overrules the local zoning, and that's in
no,
chapter
that's not.
48,
It's
section.
exactly opposite.
That's opposite.
I would ask for an extension and to have town council weigh in on the matter.
I'm curious to know, he's asking for an extension. They haven't cooperated along. There's no concern for the neighbors. I understand everybody's got a right, but at the same time, all the neighbors have a right not to be smelling horrible smells
all due
and whatnot.
respect.
One second, let him finish.
So I'm not seeing any cooperation going along. He's been on, the commissioner himself has put violations up. They keep pushing him aside, not doing anything. There's no cooperation here, and now they're asking for us to cooperate.
With all due
I
respect-
love to have both cooperation. I mean, the whole neighborhood needs, whether you have a right or not, it's very unneighborly to run what you're doing without your permit. You had a permit, you didn't act on it. It all seems like you want all these rights, but you're not abiding by the rules of our town. So I'm having a hard time with this. It keeps coming back. We keep kicking the can around. I mean, unbelievable, the fact that you can't do what the town is asking. You just keep pushing things down, and it's aggravating the living daylights out of me right now, because it keeps coming back. You keep asking for favors. You keep denying what the building inspector, and then you want him to do something for you? I mean, come on. This is not all about one person in this town. There's a lot of other people that are impacted by it, and it's due time that all these other people get a voice and are listening. I am tired of hearing. I know there's laws, but God, you stick this thing in the middle of a neighborhood, and you're asking all the other neighbors when the wind blows, tough shit, right? And you're not doing anything you're not coming up to the commissioner. You haven't been. You've been playing hardball, and I'm not exactly sure, but I don't know if there has been some foul talk in the building department. So I don't know what's going on, but this whole matter is getting carried away. Clean it up. Do what the building inspector says. Stop doing what you're doing. It's ridiculous. You can have it by right, but you can make everybody else around you suffer. Is that fair?
It wouldn't be fair, which is why
I mean, would you like to be living next to it on a day when they're not cleaning up? What I've heard is that there's been bags and bags and bags of crap, and there's pictures of it, and there's things that I've seen. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Time out.
There's no consideration for the rest of the neighborhood here.
I think I have a solution.
Yeah, go ahead.
My solution would be to deny the request to overturn the building inspector, uphold his decision, and then the applicant can appeal our decision and go to Superior Court, or they can comply with the inspector has told them to do. But I would like the Peace for Ponies and Kendra Bond to understand that the town of Wareham has recently enacted some policies where if this violation exists and continues to exist, it can be assessed a $300 fine, and that $300 fine is per day, as long as the violation exists and continues to exist. And this town has made a rule that those violations, if not paid, and fines if not paid, can be levied onto the real estate tax, and if the real estate tax isn't paid, the property can be taken. So I personally feel as though the solution here is to uphold the building commissioner's notice of violation by denying this appeal. If the applicant insists that they think they're right, let them take it to Superior Court. They want to argue the law, let them go argue the law with a judge. That's my opinion.
I second.
I guess why cause the town to incur the additional expense when we can meet with town council?
Why cause the applicant the expense? Why cause the town? Why cause this board this inconvenience? This has been in front of us enough. That's my opinion.
To Mr. Semple's comments, though, about the smell, the Board of Health was out just 2 weeks ago, and there's been no violation found by the Board of Health.
But the whole reason why it came here is to begin to, with that began way down the road.
Let
is
the
what I
Board of
heard.
Health deal with Board of Health. Zoning.
Oh, I appeal.
I didn't bring it
Zoning.
up. I was just addressing the board members'
Zoning.
comments.
Your idea or your,
contention is...
about the state permit, the state allows it, if we don't adopt this laws, it doesn't mean you could imply them
I
here.
think this is a complex legal issue, and I am requesting again that town council weigh in on the matter. I don't think that's unfair to request a simple extension to allow town council to weigh in.
All right, I'm gonna open to public. Who wants to speak in favor of this matter? Who wants to speak on this favor of this matter?
She's allowed to speak.
In favor? You wanna speak in favor? All right, who wants to speak against this matter? Yes, come forward, please. No accusation, nothing, just tell us facts.
Just facts.
State your name and address.
My name is Joan Cooney, and I live at 16 Great Neck Road. I'm the abutter to the property in question. The only question I have to ask is two. Mr. Akabuchi has stated in the past that they are not zoned for piggery. He himself has said there should be no pig and the pig should go, yet the pig is still there. So if that's one of the cases, I want to know why is the pig still there? That's one question. The second question is, if she does not file, if she does not able to wait for the appeal process, why is she not forced to have the amount of animals that she can have at her size property? Right now, in question, she has 4 donkeys. 2 of them are not rescue. They have been there since birth for 5 years. They are now considered pets. 2 of them are pets. 2 of them have been there for about a few months, since they were little. But if she thinks that she can able to have all these animals as a rescue, why are 2 of them been there for 5 years? They're pets. So either you have a rescue or you have pets. She has both. So if she's allowed to have 1 animal while she's in appeal process, fine. But why is she able to continue with the 4 animals and the pig while she's in appeal? I understand the appeal process is something that happens. I definitely understand that. I just don't understand why she's able to just keep going with whatever she wants to do while she's in the appeal. That's all I have to say. It wasn't bad.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for your comment.
Can we be clear?
Yes, go
I'm
ahead.
confused. This is Peace for Ponies or Peace for Animals, or is it 2 different things?
It's currently operated as Peace for Ponies. Peace for All Animals owns the land in the back, and we're slowly transitioning to Peace for All Animals because the land in the back, a lot of that is commercial and allowed by right. So as the building commissioner is aware, we've been trying to move the operation towards the other property, but we've been tied up dealing with this in the meantime.
Oh, stop it.
All right, going back to, anyone else want to speak against? Go ahead, ma'am. Yes, name and address?
My name is Teresa Mazzicone. I live at 66A Bayview Street in Wareham, Mass. I'm here to speak against this. I think that this has gone on very long. I think that they've had over 12 years to do the right thing, and they are forgetting the fact that they need to be rescued, and I'm not sure why they didn't bring up the last letter from the Mass Department of Agriculture,
I
which
object.
stated
This has nothing
that
to do with the zoning or the
Actually-
application before.
I understand, but...
it was included in your own letter.
Sir, ma'am, counsel, you only talk to us, not to him. Let her speak her mind. She's not an attorney. Let her make her speak her mind. We correct her after. Go ahead.
Included in the letter that I thought was part of the appeal, letter insert A, is a letter from Miss Patricia Capel. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but she says that Peace for All Animals was not approved as a registered rescue under the emergency order. Peace for Ponies was, and they are in the process of becoming Peace for All Animals. They are currently under 2 names with the Attorney General, which can get confusing. I also think that it's unfair that to have 4 times the amount of animals of the special permit. I don't think that's fair to the neighbors. And if you are to allow somebody in an R30 zone to have as many animals as you want, then I think you also need to take in consideration that that would also be where I live. I live on Swift's Beach. I have under 5 acres. Could I have as many animals as I want? Could I grab some donkeys and have some pigs and drive my neighbors up the wall and drive the board up the wall? I mean, I've watched a lot of these meetings and I've seen everybody come and do the right process and come here and make the applications and come before the board and talk to Paul or talk to whomever they had to and do it the right way. And I just wish that we could see that happen.
All right.
And I'd also like you to be mindful of the letters of support. I mean, you got, I don't know, hundreds or something like that. I'd like you to know that that is only from one narrator on their website, on their Facebook page. That only comes from Ms. Bond. And I'd also like to point out that she is a tenant of the property, which I just, where is Linnell Butterfield? I mean, what does she have to say in all this? I haven't heard her once in any of this. And if you need to see anything.
All right, well, if she has a lease, she could, that's her matter. And you said you have over 5 acres in Swiss Beach?
No, I have under 5 acres.
Oh, okay.
So, I
So
mean,
you
if you're
can't have that
gonna
either.
go under what
All
he's
right.
saying, then I should,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor, what do you want? Now you could answer what you want.
What am I supposed to answer? Because she said.
You interrupted her. So.
I just object to her whole comment.
Okay, very well. Anyone else? Hear none. What's the wishes of the board? Do you like Jim's idea, or what do you think, Troy?
I think at this point, all we have is Jim's idea to go with.
Veronica?
Yeah, I feel like the applicant has kind of put themselves in this position of having to go to a higher, I guess, judgment in terms of what can happen here because they have failed to act. So as much as I hate to say it, I do agree that that should be the next step.
Jimmy, I know your thoughts.
I don't need to speak.
Right. Rich, do you agree with Jim?
No, I agree with Jim.
Okay. All right, that being said, before, would like to close this public hearing. Do you want to make any notes before we close?
I would just humbly request an extension and an opportunity to get an opinion from town council on the matter.
We'll see what the board would say. Now, who owns the property? What's the name?
Linnell Butterfield Trust.
But, okay, so Butterfield Trust? Okay, whoever the beneficiary gonna be aware that the fine, if imposed by the town, like Jim said, will go against them, not the tenant. All right, that being said, a motion to close?
So moved.
I have a motion to close public hearing. Where's my sheet?
1523.
1523. Can I have your sheet quick? I don't know what I did, man. read it right. 1523 Lynn Butterfield, 12 Great Neck Road, map 17, lot 1008. Motion to close by Jim Akabachi. Do I have a second? Motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a
Second.
Second by Richard Sample. All in favor to close, say aye. Troy Larson, Veronica Debonese,
Aye.
Jim Akabachi,
Aye.
Richard Sample,
Aye.
Nazir Al-Khalasi, aye. Public hearing's closed. Wishes, discussion.
I make a motion to deny the
To uphold.
application, deny the request to overturn the building inspector's decision. I believe what's in front of us is a request to overturn his decision.
So to deny and uphold the decision
We're gonna
of the
uphold
commission.
decision of the building commissioner.
You get that, Jonathan, the motion? Okay, we have that motion with Mr. Jim Akabachi. Do I have a second on that motion?
I second.
Second by Mr. Richard Sample. All in favor, say aye. Troy Larson,
Aye.
Veronica Debonese,
Aye.
Jim Akabachi,
Aye.
Richard Sample,
Aye.
Nazir Al-Khalasi, aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
It'll move the thing forward.
Council, thank you, Commissioner. Council,
Thank you.
you here
Turner.
for, are you just watching?
She was here for entertainment purposes only.
All right, pay up before you go. All right, the file back to Jim. Jonathan, you wrote this properly, this vote? We need first name and last name on that vote, not just first name, on the minutes. Minutes, you must put first and last name. Make sure, Patty.
Just said
Patty,
Jim.
yeah, so she can hear you.
Oh, Patty, and that particular case...
Patty.
Patty. Please put first name and last name as we voted, not just the first name. Exactly how we voted, first and last name, and spell out the case as we said it, like 15-23, Lynn Butterfield, Appeal, 12 Great Neck Road, map 17, lot 1008. Thank you very much. And these minutes, before you sign them, Jim, I mean the decision, or me, just go through them, make sure it spells out the address properly, the number of the hearing, because if I end up in court, we don't want it to go belly up because technicality.
The minutes from tonight.
What, no, the minutes of this, yeah, from tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when you go sign decision,
We go say, make sure we read them and don't just take,
Right.
don't trust.
me or you, whoever goes sign,
No, Jonathan, it's Sonia. We know she's coming back. We trust you.
all right.
She's not here to defend
In
herself.
this decision, I recommend the whole board go sign it. Because
Yeah.
everybody gotta sign it. So take the time when it's ready. Jonathan send emails to all of us. All of us read it, make sure your name's spelled right, address spelled right, and sign it. If you wish to do so, yes.
She's on Zoom.
Ma'am, are you here for something? Yeah, come on. That's me. Yes.
Not here.
You're constable?
I work for
Yes, thank you.
James, thank you.
Thank you very much. That must be for Mr. Perry.
This is Perry, but how come you got one? You weren't on the list. Did you get yours already?
$10.
What? Oh, Jim, hurry up, you got more.
All right,
Go to 99.
96 Realty LLC.
What's this for?
It's your
All right.
cab
Gas
fare,
money?
it's your gas money to
All
get
right.
to the court case.
Okay, very well. When's that? When we subpoenaed?
96 Realty, yeah.
May,
May 1, I think?
May 1st.
May 1st, next week or the week after.
All right, we're gonna have to talk to Attorney Bowen about it, because that hearing, when it was open, I wasn't in it. I recused myself, but,
That's why you weren't on the list.
right?
On the one, we
Because
got one in
I
the...
recused myself in the beginning.
But I'm listed also on the,
But you
But you
I did,
recused
but
yourself.
I'm still listed on the
She's still
thing.
listed,
And
so...
it talks
We'll
a
have to
lot
talk to
about-
Attorney Bowen about this. Do you wanna, why don't we hand them, oh, we need them. We have to show up or we get arrested.
Yep.
Oh, arrested? That sounds like fun.
We bring you a copy tomorrow, so you show them to the town council, see what we should do. I'm sure town
So
council
you
got
two are
one.
the only ones that are being served, so then
Because
what does that mean?
you weren't, he wasn't back then at the board for that. He wasn't, you
I
recused
wasn't
yourself
originally.
originally.
Paperwork talks about the original, but
The only one sat on that case, Jim. I don't know why I was called, because I recused myself, but I guess, I don't know. we
And the
let-
rest aren't members, were former members.
Walter was listed. Walter wasn't on the board at that
Walter
time, for the
Cruz.
way back.
Jake, was Jake here?
2018, I believe, was the original.
Yeah, Walter might have
Jake
been around.
was, I don't remember if Jake was listed on there or not.
We'll let Councilor Rich Bowen deal with that. All right, anything else before we close, adjourn? Nothing? Jonathan, anything?
Not at this time.
Thank you. All right, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second by Richard, all in favor, say aye. Richard?
Aye.
Troy?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And myself, Nazir, aye. It's adjourned. Thank you.